eclectic method.
Fiery the angels fell. Deep thunder rolled around their shores, burning with the fires of Orc. If only you could see what I've seen with your eyes.
Blade Runner. Blade Runner. Blade Runner. Hate, love, fear, anger, envy.
Memories. You're talking about memories.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
All right, folks. Welcome to the Heretic Channel. My name is Jenova.
And I'm Gene Skinner. Welcome, everyone.
How's it going, Gene?
Going fine. Thank you, Jenova.
Guys, tonight, talking about the genius himself, Ridley Scott.
Mr. Big Brain.
Just ask him. He'll tell you.
Yeah.
Now, Gene, I think I told you that, Ridley's got his hits here or there.
Yes, he does.
But if you look at his filmography,
It's not
for the
really...
most part, it's a little middle of the road.
Yeah, it's kind of forgettable films, too. Like, nothing that
Sure.
really got anywhere besides, like, Alien, Blade Runner,
Alien,
Gladiator.
Blade Runner, Gladiator. I mean, Black Hawk Down. Even though, like, Black Hawk Down is really good, but it's sort of, even that's been sort of relegated to the waste bin.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really talks about it. But I mean, there's a whole bunch of movies that are in there. I think it was Proof of Life and Body of
Thelma
Lies.
and Louise.
Thelma and Louise.
A lot of
The
historical fiction
Martian,
ones.
recently, The Martian,
Yeah.
which I just watched for the first time. So
I'm sure you love that film.
well, we'll talk about it. We'll get into it. Now Ridley's got a lot of movies. We forgot to mention Prometheus and Covenant,
Uh-huh.
and Alien Covenant, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Ridley's got a lot of movies,
Yeah.
and we may not have time to get to everything.
That's fine.
Like-
we'll just
like
cover a small
normal.
body.
Sure, yeah, that's what we do. It's a little bit of a brief overview of Ridley Scott. So, and mainly we'll probably be talking about the big hits, basically, except for Alien,
Yep.
because we've talked about that multiple times.
Yeah.
But we still will get our Alien fix because we'll be talking Prometheus.
Yeah, and we'll see Ridley basically saying what went wrong with Alien versus Predator and other shit that's on this list too.
Yeah.
Where if he's not in control of something, it's his baby. He has to control it. If he doesn't, then
He's
it's gonna
got to
be
control
awful.
everything. But until then,
Yep.
let's. I'm gonna give some news. Not a lot of news tonight.
I already switched over for you. You get your mundane.
Did you switch over?
Yep.
Okay. Sometimes you just got slow news days, and that's a thing that happens. Morbius and Spider-Verse are now connected to the MCU.
Okay.
This comes from Charlemagne de God.
The
Which,
God.
if you don't know, Charlemagne de God is like that little like 5'4" nobody that like Jim made fun of.
Great.
Remember, Charlemagne had this show that was supposed to happen on MTV where he went to like trolls' houses and confronted them
Wow.
because he thinks he's a badass for some reason. Now,
Okay.
apparently, Charlemagne the God and some other guy, they have a show called Comic Kings where they discuss things like this.
Okay.
It's very um sway or what's that black radio show that all the black people like? You would know, Porky, you're black. Something in the morning. I don't know, the beatbox. I don't know what it's called. But apparently they were on there, and apparently he's friends with Tyrese Gibson, who is an awful actor.
Yeah.
And Tyrese Gibson had confided in Charlemagne the God.
Breakfast Club,
That
says Cindy.
Breakfast Club. Thank you, Cindy. Oh, Cindy. Cindy revealing her her race right there.
Amos and Andy.
Cindy Black.
Jenova, you just got flipped off by Porky.
Oh no. Porky, stop. Why so serious, Porky? um So yes, the Breakfast Club. It's like a show like the Breakfast Club, but they just they talk about comic books on the radio, which I didn't know people still listen to radio talk shows, but I guess they do. So apparently, like I said, Tyrese Gibson confided in Charlemagne the God that they were all contracted for 3 movies.
Cindy says no, it's because she follows pop culture.
Oh, okay, sure. Real name Shaniqua.
Porky's the only really black one here. We know this now.
Porky's soul is black. His heart is black.
The pig
So yeah,
are black.
Morbius and Spider-Verse 2, I guess, are now connected to the MCU. Tyrese Gibson is a terrible actor. Charlemagne the God, I almost guaranteed, knows nothing about comic books.
No.
He probably knows less than me, but at least I don't pretend. And he clearly pretends for the views, because clearly that's all anybody really talks about now.
Of course.
And like I watched a bit of the show and I couldn't make it through it because it reminded me of an episode of Nerd Crew from Red Letter Media, but the satire was 100% real. And I just I cringed the whole time. I was like, stop pretending like you know what you're talking about. And you're not here to be a shill. It's like a Collider video. It's just fucking awful. And I think that's the only MCU news I really have, except for the fact that Martin Scorsese took a shot at Marvel movies recently.
Okay.
They had asked him if he liked Marvel movies, if he'd ever watched any, and he said, Martin Scorsese said, "I tried, but that's not cinema."
He's not wrong.
Honestly, the closest I can think of them as well as well made as they are, with actors doing the best they can under the circumstances, is theme parks. It isn't the cinema of human beings trying to convey emotional, psychological experience to another human being. And apparently James Cameron had also said something. James Cameron said, "I'm hoping we'll start getting Avengers fatigue here pretty soon." Cameron, you're only saying that because you want fatigue to break before you release Avatar 2.
Yeah.
So that Avatar has a chance. Avatar is done, and it's been done. Nobody cares.
Nobody gives a fuck, James. Fuck off.
He also said, it's just, come on, guys. There are other stories to tell besides hypergonadal males, men who produce too much testosterone, without families doing death-defying things for 2 hours and wrecking cities.
So with cat people in space, right, James Cameron? Those kind of films.
Sure. Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
I found myself as a father of 5 starting to think about what would an Avatar story be like if it was a family drama. What if it was The Godfather? It's a generational family saga that's very different than the first film. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to care about Avatar. Yes, Martin Scorsese basically just shred Marvel movies. And I don't think he's wrong. There's a lot of other people who are starting, not necessarily people that I like,
Mhm.
but I like to see Hollywood at odds with itself. I like to see them eating each other.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah, I like to see, Martin Scorsese is a good director.
Mhm.
He's made some fantastic films. I mean, The Goodfellas is one of my favorite films of all time. Yes, it has Robert De Niro in it, who's a faggot,
Yeah.
but it's still just a fantastic fucking movie. Raging Bull, The Departed. I know there's gonna be some nerd in the chat who's like, The Departed is a remake of an Asian film. I don't care. I don't care. There's some other Taxi Driver.
Which also has
Another
Robert
Robert.
De Niro, yeah.
Look, it's hard to get away from him. He's a very big star.
I mean,
Um,
what do you mean, big like in tall, or do you mean?
no, in
Because I was gonna say,
in
if
fame. He's got a lot of fame. He was seen as a very, big actor. But the problem with Robert De Niro, and we're going to talk about Robert De Niro, is that Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro thinks he's the actors he plays in movies,
yeah, when he's not.
but he's not that guy.
No.
Like if you watch the if you watch that thing he said about like Trump, there's like some video he puts like he's like he's a fucking mutt, he's a fucking douchebag. It's like you don't talk like that.
No.
That's not you. You're not what's his name? Jimmy the whatever his name is in the Goodfellas. You're not
Yeah.
that fucking guy, Robert De
No,
Niro.
you are
Just
not.
quit pretending. Like he's got to be close to 80 now.
Yeah.
You're an old man.
I wish Joe Pesci
And
would just, cap your fucking legs in
I
Robert
I
De Niro.
bet I bet Joe Pesci could fuck Robert De Niro up. I bet Joe Pesci could fuck up Al Pacino too. I think Joe Pesci might be the toughest man in Hollywood. At 4'9", he's the toughest man in Hollywood.
Put Clint in Hollywood,
Clint Eastwood?
Yeah.
I want to see Clint Eastwood and Joe Pesci in a film together.
Buddy cop film with Joe Pesci and Clint Eastwood.
Jenova, did you see that Chris Evans might be in a Star Wars movie? Yeah, Mean Streets is a good movie too. It is Porky. It's kind of like I think Goodfellas is sort of a remake of Mean Streets.
It probably is.
Genova, did you see that Chris Evans might be in a Star Wars movie?
You just
Porky,
read that.
we kind of talked about. Yeah, I just wanted to go back to it just to refresh it for a second. Yeah, we kind of talk about that with Brie Larson. I think I said
Yeah,
that
with
it's
Kevin
possible
Feige.
that Chris Evans. Yeah, sure. Well, here's the thing. Chris Evans isn't a real actor,
No.
and Star Wars aren't real movies.
Yeah.
So when Chris Evans steps out into the real acting world, it's hard for him because he actually has to act. He has to bring emotion into things. He has to do a bit of a method. And that's hard to do when secretly you're a homosexual. He tap dances on the set of Avengers.
What a fag.
He tap dances on the set of Avengers. I've seen enough interviews where they constantly talk about him tap dancing. He's a homosexual.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. He's just scared to admit it because he thinks it'll ruin his career. And apparently, according to Kristen Stewart, it would ruin his career. He wouldn't be able to get another fucking movie. 24-hour stream soon, Jenova, possibly. Look, I'll do a 24-hour fucking stream. It's easier for me to do movies that you guys can watch along if you feel like watching along because it's easier to do it that way.
Yeah. Don't worry,
but
you have
those aren't
Sinful
out
Door
right
coming
now.
in a
But
bit.
those aren't out right now, and that's just a rumor, Porky. So you're dumb. But when it comes out, we'll figure something out. We'll see what we can fucking do. We'll see what happens. But I want to move on to Fredo, since we've been talking about Robert De Niro. Fredo De Niro secretly says Rock with a question mark, like he's.
So Fredo De Niro.
So Fredo De Niro, which is when when Chris comes out, everyone's reaction will be, "We know, Chris. We know." Says Porky. That's right. It'll be like an Out Cold when Lance admits that he's gay. If anybody's seen Out Cold, then they know what I'm talking about. If they haven't, then they don't know. But Lance admits that he's gay, and everybody's like, the guy's like, "We know, Lance. Everybody knows. Nobody cares." And he's like, "Oh, you guys know?" Like he tries to. He's like, "Come on, Lance. We all know you're a fucking faggot." Um, okay, so Fredo De Niro.
Mhm.
Apparently, Evans is a Smithers, says Rock. That's true, Rock. So apparently, um, there was some friction, a little bit of friction between Joaquin Phoenix and Fredo De Niro on the set of The Joker. De Niro wanted to do a table reading,
Okay.
which is it's like a normal thing for actors to do. You do a table reading, you start to prep and rehearse and do all these things, and that's been like that forever. And I'm sure Robert De Niro always does. Well, apparently Joaquin does not do those things.
Okay.
He does not do table reads. He just goes out there, and if he feels it, he feels it. That sort of caused some tension between him and Joaquin. Apparently, they didn't really talk much to each other off the set or on set. They just did their lines together,
Okay.
and that was that. Fredo De Niro did what he always fucking does, and he basically went into actor mode, whatever his fucking name is, and basically told the director, like, he's an actor. You tell him he's got to do it. He's an actor. This is what he's gonna do. This is what I want done. I want him dead. I want his family dead. That's from Capone.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't think Fredo De Niro is a likable person.
No.
I mean, and as the thing is, the more we see him, the less likable he really is.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I guarantee he's in at least one movie in everybody's top 10.
Mhm.
Everybody's got there's probably a movie with Robert De Niro, whether he's the main character or a side character, where he is probably in somebody's top 10 at least.
Like he's in Casino, that movie you like a lot too.
Yes, he's in Casino. Casino's pretty good. Yeah, I like Casino. Joe Pesci's the best part of Casino, and then Joe Bob.
Yep.
And then there's somebody else in there. I can't remember who the other fucking guy is in that movie besides Joe Pesci. But it's Robert De Niro. He's gotten stuck. He lives in a fucking bubble.
He does.
You know? And he's a real fucking cunt bag.
Yes, he is.
I liked De Niro when he didn't offer his opinions. Exactly, Cindy. Is Ray Liotta in Casino?
Maybe.
Rock?
Let me check.
That was Capone in The Untouchables. I thought you were WAP. Didn't Robert De Niro also do an Al Capone movie, like just like a standalone Capone
James
movie?
Woods is also in Casino.
Yes, James Woods is in Casino. He plays like a pimp.
Hmm.
Oh, dude, when they kill Joe Pesci in Casino,
Yep.
it's worse than when they kill him in Goodfellas.
Yep.
It's so bad. Goodfellas, one of mine too, Strong. Yes, Ray Liotta is in. He was Capone in Untouchables. Okay, so then it wasn't a standalone Capone movie. Okay. So apparently, since we're talking about him, Robert De Niro, Fredo De Niro, slapped with a lawsuit in federal court by a former employee, Graham Chase Robinson. Now she's a female. Okay. Accusing him of gratuitous, unwanted physical contact and making sexually charged comments. The lawsuit filed against her
Against him.
sexually charged comment. He filed a lawsuit against her.
Oh, okay.
No. She filed that lawsuit.
Okay.
And then they filed a counter lawsuit.
Okay.
Robert De Niro filed a counter lawsuit against her for breaking her duties, basically saying that she binged Netflix shows during work hours. But Robinson claims De Niro tried to sabotage her with false claims about her workplace conduct to prevent her from bringing a discrimination suit against the company. After resigning, she claims he retaliated and struck first with false claims designed to destroy her reputation, stop her from pursuing claims, and obliterate her job prospects.
Okay then.
Now, I want to watch this video here.
Give me just a second. 1 second. I gotta.
No, I've got it up.
No, I know you got it up, but I gotta actually get it up on OBS.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
So I gotta.
I also have to skip a little bit. Now, this is a
All right, it's up now. You can go and skip whatever you need.
This is a. I'm just trying to get there real quick because. Bring it back. Okay, this is a voicemail from Robert De Niro to this person. So I'm just gonna play this.
You don't answer my call. How dare you? You're about to be fired.
Look at that picture they picked of him.
Mm-hmm. The chat can't see it. We can see it, but
can you guys hear it?
They can hear it.
I'm here for less than 24 hours. You gotta be kidding me, you spoiled brat.
Good acting.
That's it.
Okay.
Apparently some of the other bits of the voicemail are not like you can't even bleep it out because it's just that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Davey, I think his name is.
Yeah.
That guy that popped on, I changed the thing.
Okay, yeah, I'll change the stuff back. Do you got any more news or?
No, that's the end of the news. Just
okay.
Fredo De Niro is a crazy person, basically. He thinks he's a tough guy. I don't know how you can be a tough guy when you're like 5'4".
Yeah, maybe really 5'2". Let's be honest.
It's possible. It's possible. Joe Pesci deals with it just fine. I don't know why this fucking guy can't deal with it. It's clear though that he sort of lost his mind when Donald Trump got elected.
He really did.
Like a lot of Hollywood did.
Yep.
And I think they pushed him out there. I think his real I think who he's really pissed at is all of us, because he couldn't sway any of us. He's not the star he thought he was. He didn't have the sway power. That's what Hollywood really found out in 2016 is that they don't fucking matter and nobody listens to them.
No.
And that's what I think pissed them off the most. They hate middle America, and that's fine because middle America hates them too.
Yes, they do.
The South don't like you either.
Nope.
You can call it flyover states because keep flying. You're not allowed here. We don't want you here.
He's just met Rock. He's just met all his kids look like gorillas.
Do they? He's probably got like 6 wives or something. Most of these guys usually end up having like a bunch of wives and a bunch of kids. The truth is, though, you bet if you're one of De Niro's kids and you plan on going into acting, you might want to change your last name so nobody knows that you're related to Fredo De Niro.
No. Because
the truth is, he's not good.
No,
like not anymore. Now there is that new Martin Scorsese movie coming out called The Irishman, which has Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci in the same movie for the first time, which I guess we're supposed to care about. But I think that's the biggest part of that movie is that we're supposed to care that these people are in the same movie together for the first time in their careers.
I mean, I don't really care.
No, I'm excited to see Joe Pesci, but Robert De Niro is a wash-up.
Yep.
And Al Pacino Al Pacino stopped acting and started yelling like 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
So he hasn't really been much of anybody. I
No.
know. I know on Red Letter Media they make fun of him because he was in the what was that movie? Jack and Jill, that Adam Sandler
Yep,
movie,
he was.
where he's like Dunkachino, blah blah blah, Dunkachino. He does all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Al Pacino's on hard times. I guess you can afford to be on hard times when you're a millionaire.
Yeah,
So
just maybe.
yeah.
But anyway.
Oh, the A-listers absolutely lost their minds after 2016. America collectively gave them the finger and ignored their moral aggrandizing and appeals to vote as they believe everyone should be. Exactly, John. That's exactly what fucking happened.
Yep.
Hollywood can suck a dick.
They're gonna get a second middle finger again too, so live with it.
I'm a huge fan of Hollywood just burning to the ground.
Me too.
Like, metaphorically, I guess. I mean,
it probably will be literally, knowing how fucking crazy these people are.
If the fault line went off, and it just so happened to catch the Hollywood Hills on fire, I wouldn't be sad. No. Please send us money. Please, America, help us. You're a millionaire. Help yourself.
Sorry,
because you didn't help nobody else.
All your money burned. Oh, that's unfortunate, isn't it?
That's unfortunate. As we wave to you as you sink into the ocean. So fuck Hollywood. I mean, fuck California.
Look at fucking Discord. Rock posted an image of Clint Eastwood and his son, then Robert De Niro and his kid.
Okay. Well, I knew Robert. Yep. Oh my god. Wait. Is that really Robert De Niro's kid? Robert De Niro dated a black woman?
Yep.
Or something like that?
Yep.
Is that a boy or a girl?
I can't tell.
See, I knew Scott Eastwood can't really act, but he'll be in movies because he's Clint Eastwood's kid.
Yeah.
But at least he looks like a movie star. He looks put together.
Yeah.
That's Robert De Niro's kid for real? Holy shit, dude. Dude, that's embarrassing. Like, when you look like that, you are lucky that Robert De Niro is your father. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough life, kid.
Yeah.
Holy shit. He's married to one still. Oh, you know what? Is it his wife's kid? Says Jenny. He makes the kid from Stranger Things look suave.
Oh, God. More images from
Are there more of them?
Oh, my God.
Oh, whoa. Holy shit, he's raising a bunch of Obamas. Look at him.
Yeah, I see it. Oh, wow.
Holy shit. They'll grow up to complain about how oppressed they were as black children.
With the WAP father.
Yeah. Well, I mean, black swap, same thing. They're all Moors.
Maybe that's what
she looks like a man. she does look like a man. Wow, Robert. And those poor kids, they'll be like...
His wife looks taller than him, by the way. I just noticed that the image.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Those kids, see how tall they are? That's as tall as they're ever going to be. Yeah. Those kids, they will be made fun of so bad because they'll be dark skinned and they'll be short like Kevin Hart. Oh no! I hope they're funny because I hope they've got good personalities. Well, I guess if Robert De Niro is your father, look at him in the corner. The rest, all four of the darkies, they look. At least put together for kids, right? They look. Robert De Niro almost looks like he was photoshopped into the picture, or he got there late because he was drunk again and about to miss this. And he was calling his wife like, "I'm on my way." I'm sorry. He was shaving and putting his clothes on in the car as he drove there. He looks photoshopped into the picture.
Oh.
Holy shit. Oh, Robert. I'm sorry. Oh, Fredo. What are you doing?
God.
I don't think he's married to her anymore. Yeah, I think he went through a divorce at some point.
Woo.
Um,
His
God,
kids in
that was
20 years. Thank you, John.
I see it.
Oh man.
Oh shit. Oh, thank you, Rock.
Ooh, I'm dying.
That was Robert DeFredo. That's a good one, Jenny S. Robert DeFredo.
Ooh.
Oh, Robert. What is Hollywood doing to themselves?
I don't care. I'm glad they continue to do it. What the fuck? What is
Is there
that
more?
image? Yeah, what is? Whoa, what's that face that kid's making? That looks unnatural. What is that?
Oh no, these are like the pictures you see when you see like Arnold Schwarzenegger's like legitimate kid with his illegitimate kid side by side,
Yeah.
and one is like actually like built, and one is just a fucking slob.
Yep.
Why is that kid? I know what happened? Robert De Niro slid a couple fingers right up his butt, and that's the face you make when you're getting your prostate checked by daddy. Whoa! Oh my god!
I don't want to think about this anymore. Can we move on to fucking Ridley Scott?
Is that
please?
a convertible driving through Dallas? It would be a shame if hopefully it doesn't drive past any grassy knolls. Okay.
Oh,
I love watching Hollywood collapse.
me too.
It is she probably took half his money. She probably did, Strog. That's you know, if you're gonna be a gold digger in Hollywood, at least get half, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the news. A little bit of news. Just a little bit. Mainly Robert De Niro because he's so shitty.
Yeah. So Ridley Scott now. Let's move on to Ridley Scott.
Oh, Ridley
The big
Scott.
brain.
The big brain Ridley Scott. Listen, we're all collapsing under the weight of his genius.
Obviously.
If you didn't know it.
Yeah.
Global warming is caused by Ridley Scott.
Of course.
His brain power is just so massive and conducts so much heat and energy that it just bores a hole in the atmosphere. Ridley Scott is responsible for climate change.
Obviously.
Sorry, the myth of climate change.
Of course. So the first one we're gonna take a look at tonight is his first movie made in 1977, The Duelist. Have you ever heard this film?
Duelist. I've heard of it, never seen it.
It's supposed to be like a historical fiction one, so I've never really.
Oh, like
seen it
most of
myself.
his movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I
Like
figured,
Gladiator.
yeah, so I figured we
like,
start with this one to show like how his obsession with historical fiction is a thing.
Black Hawk Down.
Yep.
Body of Lies.
Yep.
Okay, you want me to play or?
Go ahead. Wait.
Okay.
Wait. Yep. Go ahead.
Okay.
Duelist. Excuse me. Here's the
The
trailer.
duelist demands satisfaction. Honor for him is an appetite, an obsession to kill.
On God, sir.
No apology is accepted, no quarter given. Only death will satisfy honor.
You
Got
have
it.
insulted me! I have strained my patience in order
Look
not
at my
to do
curls.
so.
Is that
I demand an apology.
one of the Carradines?
Possibly.
Strife without reason.
Keith Carradine?
I think it is,
That's-
actually,
For
yeah.
his own sake.
Looks like.
Terror intends to kill you.
Gentlemen, prepare to advance.
Is this France?
Yeah, Jenny, those curls
Nobody
are
understands why you
suspicious.
fight with Arnold. I believe you
God.
feed your
hard
spite
to
on
cut-
him,
hard to
but you
tell.
almost sense that a
Good at it.
nasty blood.
Show me how you suck a guy's cock.
If he so earnestly desires to kill me, he will kill me. Damn it, kill him.
Keep away from him.
Are they
Keep ahead of
jousting?
him.
Yeah,
they-
that's Keith Carradine.
Yeah, they were jousting, but they also have dueling with guns.
With this ring, I renounce love.
What's with the underwear she's wearing?
It's like 1800s.
Is she pregnant? Oh no.
If she is, that baby is about to get poked in the eye.
You were the one I always wanted. You.
This is a trailer.
You lose
That's
him.
awful.
Remember, they put this together because they thought this would make you want to see it.
Yeah, it's Keith Carradine.
Really?
Harvey Keitel
Yeah,
as well.
cock.
Albert Finley.
Yeah.
Edward Fox.
That Bad Lieutenant. Was that Bad Lieutenant, guys?
Yeah, I think so. Robert Stevens. Dinah Quick.
The enemies of reason have a
Tom
certain
Conti.
blind look. He has that look, don't you think?
The Duelist.
The Duelists. With 2 L's?
Yeah,
There's 2 L's in Duelists?
apparently.
I guess that's how
We
you
get
spell
to
it.
get to see a scene from the movie now too. Oh no, video unavailable.
Oh no, playback on this website has been disabled. Oh no.
Play video. Okay, that's fine. Next video.
Well,
So actually, before we go forward,
I'll just pause. Right
yeah, pause. What I was gonna say is The Duelist is probably his first film, and it's probably another forgettable film by Ridley Scott because a lot of his films are just kind of middle of the road.
There are a lot of middle of the road films for Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
But you know how we are on this channel. If you like it, that's okay.
Yeah. If you like The Duelist, I don't know who would like The Duelist or say that's their favorite film. That'd be a weird choice, but
it's not for me.
No, I don't think it'd be a film I would like seek out.
It's certainly too melodramatic. And I would not seek it out. It's clearly of its time when that acting was, that's the acting they did.
Yep.
That's how everything was. So, but we might as well talk about Gladiator.
Yep, go ahead, since you can say
talking
this
about
from heart.
historical fiction. Sorry.
It's fine, no worries. It's been a while since I've ever seen I've seen the film like I think 2 times, but I just don't remember it that well.
Well, Gladiator is pretty good. I actually enjoy Gladiator. You basically, it's Russell Crowe starts off as like a general, a leader of a Roman army.
Well, don't worry, Jenova, because it's got that Oscar-worthy actor in it called Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes, he is in this movie. As a whiny kid. He's very whiny in the movie. I don't know if that was I don't know if that's how the character was supposed to be played, or if he said, I will play this character as a whiny little brat. I guess. I don't know.
Maybe he was getting upset because he was getting called River on set constantly or something. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know. But he yes, Marcus Aurelius is the Roman emperor at this time. Marcus Aurelius, the original Stoic. I'm sure Yue knows that. But Marcus Aurelius is not going to give his empire to his son, who I think his name in this is Commodus. I think. I think that's who Joaquin Phoenix plays, is Commodus,
something like that. Yeah,
some
whatever.
stupid name like
Some
that.
stupid dumb name.
Russell Crowe is Maximus. And Marcus Aurelius decides he's going to give his empire to Maximus and not Commodus, and because of that, Joaquin Phoenix smothers Marcus Aurelius.
Of course.
And he dies without Marcus being able to tell anybody that that's what his plans were. And then what's his name is sold into Maximus is sold into slavery, basically, or left to die, and then he's found by a slave trader in like Morocco, I think, somewhere.
Yeah, I believe so.
So he is I think it's supposed to be Morocco. It's filmed in Morocco. I don't know if it's actually supposed to be Morocco.
Apparently Johnny Cash liked Joaquin Phoenix's performance in Gladiator.
Did he?
That's what Trog just said.
Oh, okay. Well, Johnny Cash is I mean, Joaquin Phoenix, like, I like Gladiator, but I don't like it when Joaquin Phoenix, like, if Joaquin Phoenix is in a scene with Russell Crowe, it's fine. Like, the end scene where they fight each other and Joaquin like stabs him before the fight and shit like that.
Yeah.
To make it like, to give himself an advantage because it's clear that he can't beat Maximus.
No.
And I really do like the costume design in this movie, even like Joaquin Phoenix costumes. Like, he's in like that all white garb.
Yeah.
I think that looks really fucking cool. but it really is about it really is about Russell Crowe, and I think the best parts of Gladiator is the fighting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
It's
that's
not
the
like
whole
when
point
you
of the
watch
movie.
right, but to compare it to a movie like Fight Club, which is also about fighting,
Mm-hmm.
there are things outside of the fights that are entertaining and intriguing and captivating that you get into. So
Yep.
it's not just all fighting, but outside of Gladiator, outside of a couple scenes, the fighting is really where Gladiator makes its fucking mark. And it's very awesome. I enjoy the fighting. I think it's awesome. They used real tigers to do that. And they're like, I remember them talking to the tiger trainer. And he's like, tigers don't act. When they look pissed, that's because they're pissed.
Yep.
And like they've got them on set and those things are so mad. They don't want to be there. But outside of that, one of my favorite scenes is
Rock, by
when
the way, says the best part is when Russell Crowe beats Joaquin to death with a phone.
yeah, yes, yeah. One of my favorite scenes, and I always remember it because of because of the acting in it, is when Maximus is a slave
Mm-hmm.
and he's actually like he's fought and he's made it and he's about to go to Rome.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking to the slave trader there that runs the fights. And the slave trader goes, one time Marcus Aurelius put his hand on my shoulder. Touched me. Marcus came to me and touched me on the shoulder. And Maximus goes, you knew Marcus Aurelius? And the guy goes, I did not say I knew him. I said he touched me on the shoulder once. That whole scene, fantastic. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. I crack up all the time every time I see that scene. I like when he fights the guy in the gold mask or the metal mask.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking cool. That's Rolf something. I believe the gladiator's name is Hagen. Big guy. You remember he gets him by like stabbing him in the toe.
Yeah.
And then like gets up and like I think he might behead him, or no, maybe he doesn't kill him. Maybe he actually shows
mercy.
Shows him some mercy, because he's just doing whatever he can to piss off Joaquin Phoenix at that point.
Yep.
But the fighting is fantastic, and how can nobody ever forgets? Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Yeah, it's great. There's a lot of like cool shit going on. It was a very big movie when it came out because of all the CGI effects that they had done.
Yeah.
And all like I think they rebuilt like half of the Coliseum and then like CGI'd the other half of it.
Possibly.
So it looked super real.
Mm-hmm.
And then they CGI'd a bunch of Rome, like, to put things where they wanted them to be on the set or wherever they were filming. So a lot of that stuff is really fucking cool. I'm pretty sure it won Best Movie the year it came out. And
Possibly.
I think it deserved it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the best movie? No.
No.
Now Ridley Scott is making a Gladiator 2.
Oh, God.
I wonder, well, everybody else is dead. Maximus is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Joaquin Phoenix is dead.
On the inside.
Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix is dead. Russell Crowe's character is dead. Most everybody is dead in that movie, unless it's going to follow a black guy. Because there's that black guy that's in there. Tyrone. Gladiator. Tyrone 2. Yeah.
Gladiator 2. We was Kangs and shit.
Remember the trailer with the Kid Rock music? Now that you say something, Porky, I think I do remember that.
Ooh.
It was just it was very big for its time.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a couple of the battle scenes today.
Mm-hmm.
They still hold up, but I don't know if the acting is necessarily still considered,
good,
that great. I remember it being pretty good, but I also remember Joaquin Phoenix being pretty fucking just, I don't know, Joaquin Phoenixy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I give it a 4 out of 5 still.
Oh, you give it a 4, huh?
I give it a 4 out of 5. Most movies that we'll talk about are really 3s for me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. You and I were talking about this offline. Ridley Scott, like his filmography is very, it's very just down the road, down the middle.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things are very forgettable, but when he gets a hit, it's a hit that sort of like, sticks with people. It does stay with people. Blade Runner, Alien. We can argue about who's really responsible for Alien, but I mean, his name is on it, so Alien, Blade Runner.
They were trying to say in the whole thing
Gladiator.
we showed to memory that's like this angel that came from heaven that made Alien the possibility, who was the artur behind why it was so good. Like, shut up, stop fluffing his dick.
Yeah, stop. So let's watch this CinemaSins video.
Yep, let's watch that CinemaSins video as soon as I get that window capture off. There you go, you can play.
Now I know there's been this push lately that CinemaSins is
Sepia
bad.
DreamWorks and Universal logos helpfully prepare you for the most yellow-tinted movie ever made. 35 seconds of reading, 28 seconds of wheat enjoying. How did this horse know where to go with the headless horseman on top
Oh my god, this opening fight scene
What, you mean the dog?
against the barbarians is
I will be
awesome.
harvesting my crops. Imagine where you will be, and it will be so.
So I guess all the guys who die in this battle are imagining themselves in the ground right about now.
For you are in Elysium, and you're already
See that armor he's got on
2013
is
movie with the same
fucking
name
cool.
retroactively makes this hilarious.
Eventually he's got like that black armor.
Wildling army
with the
just
two
stands there and
horses
screams
on
for
it.
minutes
I
on
think
end
that's
while the
pretty
Roman
fucking
army
cool.
makes ready for battle. And the enemy army pays for their inaction by taking a vicious beating once the Roman army gets all set up and everything.
tough.
Oh, I see that Hans Zimmer rewarmed this score for the Pirates of the Caribbean later. That's not so much a sin for this movie, but hey, when in Rome, you don't care who is who. You don't care who the Romans are fighting. All you care about is the fact that this is a generic battle opening and you put too much salt on your fucking popcorn. Fortunate passers-by. Fire! Battle! Shaky cam.
I shall sacrifice 100 bulls to honor your triumph. Save the bulls.
Just get some whiskey for my men and some beer for my horses, washing your bloody hands in the dirty blood water of previous washers. I realize they had limited options, but are thousands of candles the best way to go about lighting the interior of a cloth tent? Wouldn't you be able to make do with less than half the open flames you have going in this thing right now?
If only you had been born a man, what a Caesar you would have made.
The way things were back then.
what a
Why does Joaquin
fucking
Phoenix remind me so
insult.
much of Rufus Sewell in this movie?
Oh no, he was
Do you
talking to
remember
his
Rufus
sister.
Sewell?
I'm sorry, he was
The
talking to
90s
his
sure
daughter.
did.
I thought he
This
was
came out in
talking to
2000,
Joaquin.
just after the Rufus Sewell was always the bad guy era was coming to a
Only
close.
you had been born a man.
This great honor that I have offered you with all my heart, no.
Maximus is a dick to original Dumbledore.
And Commodus? Commodus
Oh wait, is that the
Yeah,
original
it is.
Dumbledore?
Yep.
Oh shit!
He must not rule.
Yeah, well, what this movie sweeps under the rug
I
is
knew
how many times
I
the real
knew
Marcus
he looked
Aurelius gave
familiar.
more and more power to Commodus as he approached his death.
Yep.
So why would you give an immoral man all that power, man?
Commodus will accept my decision.
Unlikely.
The surgeons say there was no pain.
Excuse me, the who? Did you just refer to your medical practitioners as surgeons? A word that was not invented for more than 1,000 years from now?
The Emperor has been slain.
Okay, so we know Maximus is right, and it's okay to have suspicions, but he has zero proof. Does he know what era he lives in?
Right until dawn, and then execute him.
So while
Why
making
dawn?
this movie,
Why
Ridley
not
Scott,
until you
people were
get
asking
tired?
Ridley Scott
Or until the
questions
blood moon
like
rises
about
over the harvest
accuracy,
sky.
how should they
Arbitrary
have
reason to
their
make Maximus'
facial hair
execution
and shit
take
like
place
that.
far away so
And
he
his
can escape
response
is
was,
arbitrary.
"We're not
Caesar
making a
sends 4
documentary.
regular dudes to
You
kill
can
the
make
best
it however
warrior
you
Rome has
fucking
ever
want."
seen. Looks definitely passed on here, since, sunbeams. So why haven't they killed him yet?
At least give me a clean death, a soldier's death.
They fall for this. Grabbing a sword this way should cause major injuries, especially when swinging it in a violent manner. Lucky ass shot. Sudden picturesque lightning. Meanwhile, on the moon. Sure, let's carve out a horsey circle in our actual crops, as opposed to doing this on any of the regular old land we have. How did these guys even know where they were going? I don't know, maybe someone in the army had visited there before, but we're talking nearly 3 years since Maximus himself had been there. And this journey they just made is over 1,000 miles. It's not like someone can go, travel to Spain, and then, ride to the McDonald's, and then you're at his house.
They're Romans. They know how to get around.
What, did he just now realize that his family was in danger?
Like criminals, right,
For no
Jenova?
good reason, Horst decides
That's
to stop
true.
running and be a dick right here and now. Movie rips off the hero finds his loved ones as charred corpses thing from Star Wars.
Yep.
Ah, I see the soldiers were ordered to not only kill Maximus's family, but display them like this. So, in case he escaped his execution, he'd be extra sad about their deaths. Grief drool. Movie suddenly turns into Requiem for a Dream.
Don't die. They'll feed you to the lions.
But will I care?
See,
If I'm already
Tyrone.
dead, how much you want to bet the owners
See,
suckered the
that's what I was
townsfolk into paying
saying.
for this
There's
arena?
that guy in it.
Sold me queer giraffes.
That's racist.
I'll give you 2,000 and 4 for the beasts. That's 5,000 for an old friend.
It is? If you were going to give yourself a discount, why didn't you just say, I'll give you 3,000 for the beasts? You know, since you're the one dictating the terms anyway. Queer giraffes. Well, the vulture
Queer
sequence was a little
giraffes.
heavy-handed, I gotta admit. Guy who made a show of telling these guys they were all worthless and were going to die soon back when he bought them is now giving them a pep talk to try and get them to fight well. One speech does not jive with the other speech is all I'm saying. Pee running down someone's leg to show scaredy-catness cliche. Here's even more confusing battle scenes, even though there are far less combatants.
Oh, it's such
you
a
guys
good
just tell me when the main
fucking
characters
battle
win.
scene, though.
Is that guy
Nod off
wearing
for
a
second. The gladiating will go down
fucking
exactly
cowhead?
like this. Rome doesn't have quite
Yes.
the buzzard problem of the other arena we saw earlier. Rated T for teen. What are the rules of this stuff? Do the opponents have to watch Maximus fight one-on-one battles? Or could they join in on the fight and make it a lot less fair?
Are you not entertained?
Meme
Somewhat.
word.
Well, we hated you until you yelled at us about being entertained. So, yeah, we like you now.
And the great whore will suckle us until we are fat and happy and can suckle no more.
Wait, I thought it was the whore doing the suckling. How do you get fat and happy when the whore suckles you?
Hence you will have your freedom.
Said the guy who could literally give him freedom right now if he really wanted to, i.e. his owner. Thunder and lightning indicate something
Oh,
on
that's
this
True
cliche.
Strong. The guy who pissed himself
Incest
did get a
request.
mace
I
to
get
the
that it's
face.
ancient Rome and there
Yep.
aren't newspaper photos of
Mace
Maximus
to the
on
face.
microfiche
Hey,
at
that
the local
kid.
library,
Yep.
but to ask me to buy that he went all this way through all these smaller fights and provinces and shit, and not one single former soldier has ever recognized him? That's impossible. Also, let's let
That's
the heir to the
impossible.
Roman throne hang out inches from killer barbarian warrior slaves. What's the worst that could happen?
Anyone here been in the army? Yes. I served with the Vindabona.
Funny that didn't come up until now. How did that guy not see
Tyrone.
Juba running towards him?
Guys. Guys.
Maximus only decides not to
That
kill
helmet
Commodus
is
because of
pretty
a
cool.
kid.
My
Yep.
name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
I should have known something was
Maximus
up when none of the
Decimus
soldiers I sent to kill you returned.
I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Oh,
Love
there's
those words.
Hagen.
This life is your
behind
only
him.
option, though.
It's not the guy
I mean,
with the
surely in
fucking
the next life you'll forget all
big
about
face,
it. But good
or
luck.
the
They
helmet
lied
face.
to me in Germania. They told me he was dead.
They? What they? Nobody
Nobody
returned from the
returned.
execution to confirm his death.
This man wants what you want.
Cindy gives a 4.5.
No one hears that?
4.5
I mean, later
costume
he says,
score,
God.
mostly quality acting,
lady is
excellent
finished with
fight
me.
scene.
So there's someone within
I
earshot
agree,
hearing all
Cindy.
this conspiracy.
You gave it a
Early
4.
Roman concessions practices.
Yeah, 4. 4.5 is the
Okay,
same
so
area.
last fight, all of Rome found out this
That's
was
what Cindy
Maximus,
gives
the
it.
main general of the
Yeah.
Roman army. Yet he's somehow
he
still a
said.
slave gladiator? How is there no public outcry about how he became a slave in the first place? How are there not riots to set him free? How is this next gladiator
Don't worry,
match
it'll
happening?
be ruined by Ridley
No,
Scott in
maybe
the
they
next
heard he
film.
spoke out against Commodus, but
Rock
he's
says
incredibly
false slave
unpopular
owners
anyway.
could not
So
just
what the
give freedom once
Maximus
their
doesn't take
slaves have
advantage of
become
this guy turning his
gladiators.
head.
Their lives now belong to
Yeah.
the arena.
Patricide. Wait a minute, wasn't Quintus responsible for sending Maximus to his death? And Commodus was upset that they lied to him about Maximus being dead. So why is Quintus able to sit here in the VIP box and not dead? Well, I guess if one random asshole says it, then the whole crowd can get on board with that. Also, how does
Joaquin
one
looking
asshole
a
get his
little
voice heard in
chubby
the middle of an
there.
arena
Yeah,
with
his
all that
face
noise
looks
going
weird.
on? Maximus is a lucky f***.
They tell me your son squealed like a girl when they nailed him to the cross.
Yes, but as Maximus probably knows, Commodus's soldiers are pretty unreliable when it comes to things that actually happen.
Find me! Find me!
Is it difficult to find the prisoner-slave gladiators in their cells? No matter how hot your sister is, this should probably be filed under the too gross to attempt portion
Oh,
of your
yeah, that's
brain.
right, I forgot
Much too
about the
late, an unbelievable
incest.
love
Yep.
story comes out of nowhere because somebody's got to get a little action in this movie. That's cheating on the dead wife that you're going to see soon, right?
Porky posted the Super Bowl trailer.
Caesar's nephew is a dick to Caesar.
The savior of Rome. And who said that?
The answer to this question requires secrecy to the audience. Also, seriously, Lucilla is going
Smash
around
his head
saying this
against
in
some
front of her kid?
steps.
It seems you've won your freedom.
So Oliver Reed died during filming, but necessary or not, that CGI shot of him is f***ing eerie.
That is enough.
That was
Okay,
the
so this shot
CGI
definitely came
shot?
from that
Holy
scene earlier
shit.
when Maximus was yelling about Commodus f***ing up everything. You didn't think we'd remember, did you? Instead of killing Maximus for trying to escape, sure, let's just arrest him again and keep making him gladiator himself. How are all these assholes throwing rose petals any kind of distance in the Colosseum?
General who became a slave. The slave who became a gladiator. The gladiator who defied an emperor.
Sounds like a good thing to put on the poster and or trailer.
Striking story.
Movie takes the time to pat itself on the back.
Strap on his armor. Conceal the wound.
This guy's still alive? Let that be a lesson to you 15 and 16 years ago. Put lots of roses in your movie and it wins Best Picture. Movie rips off the See the People You Love After You Die thing from Titanic. Damn, death is so amazingly close to life, he should have done this earlier.
Is Rome worth one good man's life?
Well, an epic movie winds to a close. Time for a ponderous speech. Symbolism.
93.
Sentence.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Next we have
The
history
historical
buffs.
Yeah, the historical accuracy with gladiator.
No, we don't have to. We don't have to watch this thing.
Okay.
Oh, he does. I like when he does these.
Born of England.
Kneel.
Kneel before Zod.
Before Zod. What, Moppy? What are you wanting me about?
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
If I can change, and you can change,
Вы можете измениться.
everybody can change.
Hey, German boy, go back to Germania.
My lady.
My lady.
Many things change.
Moppy, what are you wanting about?
Some things never change,
What?
Jason. And some things do.
And light was. And it was good. The
here,
first
Mom.
day. And then the formless light began to take on substance and shape. The second day.
They all say that until they're out there.
Listen.
Oh no, not Seven Nation Army.
Come here, Mop.
Is this a Mario Kart?
Yeah, I think so. It's Mario Soccer, actually, I think.
Oh, okay.
What up? Black. 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 Black.
This tiger.
They tell me your son squealed like
I
a
like
girl.
Jenova, but Moppy is
like
a
a
better
stuck
co-host, says Jenny. Alright, this is History Buffs. I'm not sure if this guy is going to be boring or not.
Okay.
I always see him on my timeline. I've watched a few of his videos. He can be a bit boring. If he's boring, skip him. It's fine.
I mean, you can skip him. You also have the remote.
Yeah. Well, you let me know if you want me to skip him. If I feel like I want to skip him, we'll skip him.
Yeah. And actually, I should say you're the only one that can use the remote. I can't because I have it.
Sure, yeah. I know what you mean.
So he does this like all movies and media that are historically based.
Yeah. I think he just did one recently on one of my favorite movies, The Ghost in the Darkness.
What's that based on?
It's based on the man-eating lions in
Hello
Africa.
and welcome, history buffs. My
Look, he's
name is
animated.
Nick Hodges, and today we'll be taking a look at Gladiator. Now, just a
And
heads
he's
up,
British.
I would like you to know that I do indeed love this movie.
Loves
but
it.
when it
But-
comes to history, it's about as accurate as an episode from Game of Thrones.
Poppy over Genova. Genova over Gene, says Porgy. Porgy, and you wonder why Gene
Anyway,
is always changing your name.
in the story of Gladiator, the
you,
Roman
Porgy.
general Maximus is betrayed
I'll
by
do
the
an insult,
evil
you saw.
Emperor
Fuck
Commodus.
you. Hope
His
you get hit
family
by
is
a
murdered and he
bus.
becomes a slave and then sold off to become a gladiator. It's a great story of revenge, but the character of Maximus is entirely made up.
Throw a fucking
Although he's
hissy
very well
fit for
written,
10 minutes
Maximus
because
is
somebody
more of a plot
didn't
device
call
to
you a
allow the
liar.
audience to experience the greatest aspects
God, he was
of
being
Roman
such a
life.
whiny little
Its
faggot
army, its
yesterday.
senate,
He
its
was.
system of slavery, and of course,
I'm done,
its
man. I'm
very
done after the
epicenter of
camping
Roman
trip.
culture,
I'm done.
the Colosseum.
Alright,
This
calm down.
is Gladiator.
Gladiator, are you not entertained? What's
History
that South
behind
Park song about Russell Crowe fighting around the world?
something like that. Yeah.
Russell Crowe fighting
The year
around
is
the world.
It's either
180
Russell Crowe
AD,
fighting
and
around the
Rome
world
is
or
at
Russell
the very
Crowe
peak of
punching
its
the world
golden
from
age.
space.
It governs the lives of over a quarter of the world's population, and its mighty empire stretches from the forests of northern England to the deserts and great cities of Egypt and the Middle East. For the most part, there is peace and prosperity throughout the empire, but it's one that will not last. Rome is at the extent of its
He had a
power
boat
and
sidekick
influence.
too with the
It has
with
been
tugboat.
63
Yep, he
years since
did.
the empire's last territorial expansion. Its army is now
committed
focused
suicide
solely
at the
on protecting its
Yep.
borders against barbarian invasions. The emperor, Marcus Aurelius, has been fighting a series of bloody wars against the Germanic tribes along the river Danube. Much beloved
And
by his
eventually the
people,
Germans
he is
would
generally
take
considered
Rome.
today as one of the last great emperors of
In your
Rome.
fucking
And his
dreams.
leadership
They
was
did,
definitely
though.
tested during these conflicts.
Yeah, they did.
This is because these weren't the
What do
same
you mean?
barbarians Rome had
They didn't.
successfully
That's how
defeated in
Rome
the
fell,
past.
Genova.
You know, the Visigoths beat sacked Rome.
They're the Germans.
The not.
Yeah, they were.
They had learned
No,
to
they're
think from
not.
their Roman
Yes, they
oppressors
are.
since
What are
the
you
time of
talking
No,
about?
they're not.
Augustus.
They're the
By
fucking.
now, they were highly
They're the
organized
fucking.
and equally
Whatchamacallit.
ferocious.
The Visigoths are from Japan.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that, did you?
That's not true at
I
all.
don't
I'm dropping
sound
all
so
kinds of
familiar.
knowledge on you, dude.
No, you.
I used to be a history teacher.
No,
Oh.
you didn't.
Yeah.
However, Marcus Aurelius was able to rise up to the challenge of
Germanic
protecting
people
Rome's
south of the
frontier
Black Seas.
during the Marcomannic
Okay.
Wars. Aside
Yeah,
from being a
oh,
great
look at
general,
those
he was
Japs.
also a philosopher and extremely
I
intelligent.
love the Japs.
Using his cunning, he was able to isolate and destroy each tribe individually before moving on to the next. This took him over 10 years of his life, but it was
Look at
ultimately
them.
successful.
Look at them Germans.
And Richard Harris
They're just
generally does a good
peasantry,
job
really.
at portraying Marcus Aurelius.
Barbarians.
We get the sense of a
Says the
man weathered by
Trying to,
decades
you know,
of war.
Says the
One of the
Highly
greatest
intelligent,
civilizations
yes,
ever
but
roamed.
magnanimous in his humility.
You mean
Fantastic.
the Greeks? You mean the Greeks?
Oh no! Well, look, the Greeks. They were the greatest
Wait,
thinkers in the
what?
world. Then Rome conquered them and said, "What do you think of that?"
Expanded the empire.
Oh, really? That map?
And
You
then
conquered
the
all of
first
that?
the first order
Wow,
of business under
the
Rome
ego on this guy.
is to start a union.
Don't you think you're laying it
Because
on a
they're
bit
fucking
thick, mate?
Italian.
Expanded the
Yeah,
empire. You
sounds about right.
expanded jack shit. The last emperor to expand the empire was Trajan, and I really doubt that he would take credit for the rest of it as well.
This is a pleasant fiction.
Romans were degenerates, but
Anyway,
in a good way.
the movie begins on what was the final battle of these long wars. At the Battle of La Gorizia in modern-day Slovakia, the film does a great job at authentically portraying how the Roman war machine worked. In open battle, Roman armies were unstoppable. Using the latest technology of ballistas and onagers, as well as years of training, they were able to crush any opponent in the field. It was through these very
In the
tactics
beginning,
that allowed the
but
Romans
towards the
to
end,
emerge
they got
victorious
lazy as
time and
fuck.
time
Yep.
again.
And then they decided,
People
let's
should
just
know
get
when
those
they're
mercenaries from Germany to do
That's
our
what
work.
happens when you crucify the savior of mankind.
When the battle is over,
mean some
Marcus
Jew?
Aurelius summons
You
his son
crucify the
Commodus to the
Messiah.
front.
You
And
mean
this is
some
where the
Jew?
rest of the movie,
Oh sure,
how can I say this,
some Arab Jew. yeah.
detours away from actual history.
Are you ready?
Well, technically, I mean, if you think about it, it's possible that Jesus was part Roman.
I mean, yeah.
You will not be emperor.
It's probably Mary was probably
Which
raped
was
by a
all
Roman
man's
soldier.
secret.
I mean, yeah.
My powers will pass to Maximus to hold in trust until the Senate is ready to rule
The Senate.
once more.
I am the Senate.
Rome is to be a republic again.
Although this is an important scene and provides the necessary catalyst for the rest of the movie, in reality there was never any question as to whether Commodus would become emperor. In fact, it was
Is that
Marcus
Commodus?
Aurelius who reinstated the succession by male heir policy that all his predecessors had abandoned.
Yep.
To prepare Commodus, Marcus Aurelius brought him on his campaigns against the barbarians at a very young age to school him on the lessons of war and ruling the people for much of his childhood.
Yep.
At the age of just 15,
Yep.
Commodus became joint emperor
You
with
say
his
at
father.
the age of just
So,
15.
Knowing
At
all
just
of that,
15,
this scene
that
takes
But
a
at
total
15,
turn when
you
Marcus
were doing
Aurelius
some
says,
real crazy shit already.
"Fuck yeah, it disappoints him."
What was it? Was
You
was
made him
Alexander the
spend his
Great
whole childhood
18 or
preparing for
21
this,
by the time he
only
had conquered
to take
the
it
known
away in the
world?
last possible second? You're the cruelest parent imaginable. No wonder he fucking hates you so much.
You're a crook. You're a cheat and a swindler. That's what you are. How can you do a thing like this? Build up a little boy's hopes and then smash all his dreams to pieces. You're an inhuman monster.
23.
So when
Thanks,
the
Rob.
real Marcus Aurelius finally died in 180 AD, Commodus
I like how he
became
says that
sole
when he
emperor at the
finally
age of
died.
19.
We finally got rid of Marcus
Despite
Aurelius.
everything his father had prepared him for, Commodus had no interest in pursuing his father's vision for Rome.
See,
In
that
that
whole
same
costume
year,
is really
he brought
cool. I
the
like it.
campaigns along the Danube
All
to
that
an abrupt
white
halt
with the fucking
and
black and
negotiated
gold.
a weak peace treaty with the barbarian tribes. He returned to Rome and organized a triumph in his own personal honor.
As you do.
His primary concern from that moment on was to enjoy himself as much as possible and leave the running of the government to more interested people. As to why he did it, well, think about it. If you spent your whole childhood being dragged off to campaigns by your dad, and then at the age of 19, you become the most powerful man on Earth. Well, you only need to look at examples of rich trust fund brats today inheriting their daddy's millions, times that by 1,000, and you get a good idea of what Commodus's reign was like.
Caligula is a good movie, Rock.
There's a fisting scene in that movie.
There's a scene where he
Gladiatorial
smashes
games
a
were
baby
the
skull
most
against
popular
some
form of
steps.
entertainment in the Roman world.
Fucking
They're probably
that movie
the
is
perfect
crazy.
representation of Roman values. The courage to face mortal combat, that contempt for death, and the courage it takes to meet it honorably in the end. If a gladiator lost and was sentenced to die, it was up to him to show
I like
the
that you
crowd
remember the
how to
fisting
die like a Roman.
I know,
It
right?
can't be stated enough
That's
how
the first thing that
seriously
popped into your
Romans took
mind.
these games and the amount of
Oh, yeah, there's fisting
preparation
in
that
that
went
movie.
into their execution.
I mean, shunting's
is
just a natural
literally
part of my life cycle,
unbelievable.
Sure.
The movie Gladiator
Sure, I
is one of the
agree.
few examples where they actually toned down how ridiculous these games would get. The Colosseum, the largest amphitheater in the world, was able to seat 50,000 people, host a variety of spectacles such as gladiatorial bouts, animal hunts, reenactments of famous battles, and most incredibly, they would flood the arena and have actual sea battles in them. Sometimes this would all be within the same
The
week.
flower in the ass, yeah, Rock.
Although in today's standards, this
I like
is
that Caligula
completely
met his end
horrific
as
and alien
brutally
to
as
us,
his reign so
you have to
strong.
understand that back then, Romans
Yeah, he kinda
were
deserved it, didn't
exposed
he,
to
Strong?
death all
He's
the
It's
a
actually
time,
real
really,
piece of shit.
whether
it was
be
really
through
funny though
disease,
because he was
public
actually a really
executions,
just
or
emperor until he had
sometimes
some
even
kind of
war.
sickness that made him go
So it's
insane.
not
Like
really
literally.
surprising
Which
that
they-
they
which
had
I think
such a
they,
fascination with death. And the
they
Colosseum was the perfect way
they
in which to
contribute
see
that
it.
to the eating of
And since
lead,
gladiators
Yeah.
were favored amongst
which is
all
they
other
used to
forms
like
of
pour
entertainment,
lead on their
they were
food.
also
did, yeah.
prepared for
And
that
eat it.
same level of professionalism.
Got some kind of madness from eating lead poison.
In the movie, the gladiators are randomly picked slaves with no real purpose other than to die in the arena and with very little care provided in their training and selection.
Why don't you fight? We all have to fight. Well, I don't fight.
You're spurging, Jenny? Why's that?
Be here, I'm a scribe. I
It's
write
not
down words.
amphitheater, it's
Amphitheater.
amphitheater.
Good. Tomorrow you can scream in 7 languages.
The games themselves are completely chaotic, where gladiators are literally thrown into the arena and the fight simply
Wait, did
becomes
that
a
dude have
free-for-all.
Liberty Spikes?
In reality, the Romans would
I
have
think he
viewed the
did.
games in the movie as very unsportsmanlike, if that makes sense. Slaves who were chosen to become gladiators were always in perfect physical condition. They would then undergo months of rigorous training to hone their fighting skills,
Yeah, that's
and when
true,
they
Rock.
weren't training,
They
they
used
would be
lead
well
everywhere.
fed and be pampered by Roman
Eventually, it
baths
was
and
like a
massages.
powder in the 1800s.
Yep.
It's
Like
quite
Catherine
weird
the
to
Great
say
or
this,
whatever.
but
Like that's why they
a
were
good
always like
comparison of how a
bright
gladiator
red
is
'cause of
handpicked
the-
and cared for
the reaction
is with
from the
same
lead
way
powder and
racehorses
shit.
are treated today. A lot
Or
of
was
money went
Kathleen
into
the-
these games,
Catherine
so
the Great was
the
at the
Romans wanted to put on the
1700s.
best
Yep.
possible show.
I don't know.
In the film, each gladiator seemed to wear randomly selected armor, and they all look completely different than the other. There's one that looks like a troll, one that looks like a pig, and one gladiator that's
Porky.
wearing a
Also
bull's
Porky.
head for some reason. I don't know what the point in that is. In reality, the armor was chosen specifically to fit a gladiator's type and unique fighting style.
So the pig style is the Porky style?
Like modern sports fans today, Romans would have their favorite types and love to see how their
She was bright red
gladiators
from all that
fared
horse
against
fucking.
another. In all gladiator
That's
bouts, they would usually pit someone who is agile and quick
Tiger.
against someone who is heavy and strong. They were physical displays of speed against brute force, and Romans loved to debate over which attribute was more important and argue over the tiniest of details. But of all Romans, there was no one more obsessed with the games than Emperor Commodus.
Just like today, just like today when you go to place a sports bet, it's most likely a Roman that's taking your book.
In
Yeah.
Gladiator, Commodus is performed
you?
perfectly by the actor Joaquin
He'll
Phoenix.
make
who is
sure all the
definitely
money's
my
there.
favorite character
And
in
if
the
it's
entire
not,
movie.
then they send the
Even though
Romans
it's
out
clear
to
that the
collect.
Emperor is a villain, we see a truly tragic figure with deep ties to a lack of relationship with his father. It's clear that Marcus Aurelius has been preparing.
I
Commodus
agree,
to
Rock.
become
I think we
emperor.
do need to bring
That probably
Gladiator
his
games
whole
back.
life has been spent being constantly
would you call it?
criticized
It would
by his
it would
father
it would
without
be the
some
best
kind of
thing to
affection.
watch.
Unable
I'm
to meet his
upset they
father's
did
high
away with
expectations,
public
It comes as
execution.
no surprise when he feels bitterness towards Maximus. he recognizes the love that Marcus Aurelius shows Maximus, despite never having received any of it himself.
Yes, Rock.
When Marcus
Except
Aurelius
for the
finally
animal
declares that Commodus will not be emperor, that is not the thing that pushes him over the edge. It is this.
Which wiser older man is to take my place? My powers will pass to Maximus.
I really doubt that Marcus Aurelius would have been killed in the movie if he had passed his powers over to Senator Gracchus. But the fact that he chose Maximus, someone who most likely grew up with Commodus when they were children. After all, Commodus constantly refers to Maximus as his brother.
Men with me, brother. Our great father is
Bring
dead.
back dueling.
And perhaps throughout the years,
I could do that, Porgy.
noticed his
I could
father
deal with that
pay
too.
less and less attention to him and begin to treat Maximus as more of a son than Commodus ever was. So when Marcus Aurelius declares Maximus
I think
to be the
there's still
protector of
something
Rome,
called trial by
it is not only a
combat
betrayal to Commodus,
that you can
but
actually
an
like
admittance to
have
the entire known world
even in
that
front
Marcus
of
Aurelius
police.
doesn't
And if you
value
both call
or
trial by
even love
combat,
his son.
then
It is
like
these
the
high
police can't stop you
expectations
from fighting.
and constant beratement by an absent
I don't know.
father
I saw
that resulted with a monster.
So you know Cincinnati. Cincinnati has like a superhero over there
After
called
murdering
something
Marcus Aurelius,
Jones.
Commodus prepares a series
And there's a
of highly
video of him
expensive
calling
gladiatorial
trial by
games in his father's
combat
honor.
in front of
In
the
appearance,
police.
at least according to his
And
enemies,
the police
they
ask the
serve
other
only
guy
to
if that's what he
secure his
wants to do. The other
popularity
guy
with the
says
mob.
yes.
Mutual combat, says Rock.
The mob is ready.
Okay,
But
yes,
these
mutual
games
combat.
actually
Okay.
serve a deeper purpose than that.
Yeah, it's some
Part of
some
a
weird
sick
fucking
and
thing that
twisted
still
grand design
exists.
that has two
Okay,
functions. The
And
first
then when like
is to get the
cops
love
can't
and
do
respect
anything
he so desperately craves from Rome
because then
itself.
Jones kicks that dude's ass, and then
They don't respect me. How can
that's
they ever
it.
love me?
I mean, I can just not take not Russell Crowe. Fucking Joaquin Phoenix is acting.
I will give the people a vision of Rome and they'll love me.
Yeah, especially in like this, like it seems like very over the top. Like he's trying very hard to fit into that time period.
The second function
But it sort
is
of
that
comes
by
off.
throwing these games
It comes
to
off
secure love and
misplaced
popularity
to
with the
me.
mob.
It feels like
they
it
also
belongs
serve
in a
sinister
later
purpose.
period.
It belongs
that-
in a museum.
These daily games are costing a fortune, yet we have no new tax.
Legal in some states, illegal in others. Okay, so apparently it must be legal in Ohio then.
I guess.
He started
Well, now you know what to do if anyone ever challenges you to know when you say mutual combat.
Mutual
He's
combat.
selling Rome's reserves of grain. The people will be starving in 2 years. I hope they're enjoying the games because soon enough they'll be dead because of them.
In a sick way, these games are in his father's honor. The only thing Marcus Aurelius truly loved unconditionally was Rome itself, and Commodus wished to see its destruction most of all.
Why?
But regardless of how evil he was, the audience could sympathize and feel sorry for this great tragic character.
Did you feel sorry for him, Jenova?
However, the real Commodus,
I felt sorry for
shit that
me.
he was not sympathetic at all. The great games
Is that
he hosted
really Commodus?
served no
Yep.
purpose other than to serve
Really
his
looks
own
like Russell Crowe,
indulgence.
don't he?
He couldn't care less about anything else,
Not
including
Russell Crowe, I
ruling
keep
the
saying
empire.
that. Joaquin
He was
Phoenix,
so
doesn't he?
obsessed with gladiators
Yeah.
that he actually wants to be one.
They have
and
him
race
look
into
more
the
like
arena to fight
Caesar
them.
than anything.
Just like in the movie, these fights would be rigged, of course. He would be outfitted with the best weapons and armor money could buy, and the poor sod he faced would be handicapped and armed with a dull blade. Aside from the fact that the
I didn't feel
Emperor
sorry
of
for him,
Rome
so-
is playing a role commonly associated
No, he's a
with
real
slaves,
cunt in the whole
the
movie.
fact that these fights are rigged insulted
Can we blame the
Roman values
Romans
of
for
honor,
Democrats?
and so
That's
caused a
right.
decline
I
in
mean,
its popularity
probably, yeah.
with the Roman people. When Commodus wasn't playing gladiator or throwing epic parties, he also had countless people assassinated. Whether
Okay.
it be to seize their property or for political reasons, there was no end to it. And mostly,
What an
it just
asshole.
happened at random, even to people closest to him. Eventually, he met his demise because
like
fucking genius
Sulla
that he
Felix.
was,
Sulla
left a
Felix
list
was a
of
Roman
people he
emperor.
was going to have killed just lying around in
He
his
had
villa.
he had up to
It was his
500
mistress,
people a day
Marcia,
for
who
1 month
found it and
assassinated.
saw her name at the top of the
Jesus.
list. Marcia
People would
showed
walk
it to
up
the other people
to the
also on
list,
it,
they would
and
see their
together they
name,
hatched a
they would
plot
turn
to kill
around,
Commodus.
and then they would be murdered.
Now,
Oh.
in the movie, Commodus
It was,
dies in
Sulla
a
Felix
pretty
is one of my
dignified way,
favorite
and I actually
historical
prefer it
characters.
because in real life, his death was really embarrassing.
Oh, how did he die in real life?
Now, what really happened was that Marcia and the conspirators convinced Commodus's gladiatorial trainer Narcissus to strangle Commodus in his bath. So bear that in mind. Could you
Wow.
imagine if they recreated that scene in Gladiator with Russell Crowe choking out a naked Joaquin Phoenix?
Oh, God.
I doubt even Hans Zimmer can make that scene look epic.
That would've been funny as
Ultimately,
fuck.
I think we can all agree that this was a necessary change to the movie. However, its ending does not truly reflect the consequences of Commodus's rule. When Maximus
That's gay,
dies, we get a general feeling that evil has been defeated and Rome can be saved.
Gay!
Rome can't be saved, just look at it.
If Rome could be saved, it would have been saved.
Yeah.
Is Rome worth one good man's life?
It's worth a cannoli.
And the pizza pie.
Make us
Don't worry, you eventually have tomatoes. That's what you can do instead of basically killing
soldier
people
Rome.
constantly, is do some fucking gardening.
Why are they letting this woman talk to them?
honor him.
It's
But
Rome.
in reality, the damage had already been done. Following almost immediately upon Commodus's death, Rome would be hit by years of civil war by pretenders
It is a
fighting for
sad
the
piece of
imperial
info.
throne.
It reminds
In the
me
long run,
of the
Commodus's
scene
reign ended Rome's
Julius
golden age,
Caesar,
and his
Shakespeare's
death
Julius
marked
Caesar,
the beginning of the end
when
of
Mark
Rome
Anthony
itself.
gives that speech.
From this point
but it's
forward,
actually done
the
better
empire
in that
focused
play
on
than it
itself,
is
and
in
after
this movie.
centuries of mismanagement, inner fighting,
So he was
and
the last
quite
emperor?
frankly, growing soft, would
Who?
leave the empire
This guy,
open
Commodus, was.
to uncontested barbarian invasions.
They're
before
saying
it
how it was
finally
like civil war
disappeared
and all this
forever.
other shit broke up eventually. It's what caused Rome to fall was this douchebag.
Now, despite of all of these historical
That's what you
inaccuracies,
said.
Gladiator is a great film. Normally, when a movie is this inconsistent with history, it tends to piss me off a little bit. However, with Gladiator, it seems to be the exception rather than the rule. Although it fails as a true representation of Roman antiquity, it makes up for it with its great writing, in-depth characters, epic score, and high production values.
This song.
Black Man. Tyrone 2, Electric Boogaloo.
It truly seems like the stars aligned when this film
What are you
was
talking
made.
about? All they have to do
So
is
much
to
so
save
that
Rome is bring
Ridley
in
Scott
millions
has
of
been trying
immigrants.
ever since
That's
to
right.
recreate the same impact Gladiator had 15 years ago. From Kingdom of Heaven to Robin Hood and most
one's
recently
talking
with
about Robin
Exodus,
Hood.
Gods and Kings.
Nobody's talking
All
about
of their
Exodus,
trailers
Gods
and
and
posters
Kings either.
constantly remind us of one thing.
Oh, he's fucking obsessed with Gladiator.
That's right, Sil. As if we would forget.
The Sopranos.
Because not only is Gladiator a great film, it's probably
not
the
an accurate
biggest reason for
representation of the
Hollywood's
New Jersey
revival of
Mafia
historical
either.
epics today, and reawakening the general public's fascination with history. For that reason alone,
cares? It's
I know we
gone.
can
It
all
doesn't
be
matter.
thankful for Gladiator.
I need to get that arrow in the neck prop for Halloween, says Porky. Porky, this you should get it. It'd be good. You go as an extra from Gladiator.
And the pig armor, Porky.
Get
Well,
pig.
that about wraps it up. My name is Nick Hodges, and thanks
My
for
name is
watching
Scuffed
History Buffs.
Shaggy.
And remember, if you
He looks
like
like
the show,
Shaggy if he
help the
wasn't
channel
stoned,
grow.
but just drank
Don't forget
pumpkin
to hit
soy
that like and
lattes
subscribe
constantly.
button
If Shaggy-
and
yeah,
tell
if-
me
if
what
Shaggy-
did you think about Gladiator,
Shaggy.
and of course, what historical film should I review next? Until
Yoinks,
then,
oob.
I'll see you next time.
All right, I'm going to the Legend trailer.
Yeah, okay. So you pause it so I can just talk about it real quick.
Go ahead, talk
So
to
I
me about
I watched Legend. This movie's pretty dull. It's really not got much going on for it besides Tim Curry being the devil, and that doesn't happen till
Yeah.
like near 30 minutes till the movie's end. So yeah, that's the only thing that's decent about this movie, because fucking Tom Cruise in this movie, he can't act. He's awful. Some of the creature effects, I guess, are kind of cool because it's fucking Rob Bottin doing them. So that's that for it. I'm trying to think like what I didn't really like much. This movie's really like forgettable besides Tim Curry as Satan, and some of those like aspects of hell, like some of the like Porky's people are in hell, the ogres that are pig faced.
Yeah, Tim Curry it's a very good portrayal of Satan.
Mhm.
Like he's pretty massive.
Yep.
You know, he's got those massive horns and
I
everything.
mean, he is on earlier where it's like a statue of him moving with the green like fingernails and the fucking green eyes, but that's not him. Like that's not what he really looks like. That's just like an avatar of him, I think, when he's talking to the goblin.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, I gotta say, it's really kind of like trying way too hard to be like this. Oh, look at this fancy fairy tale world of light and darkness always being balanced together, and how they never know this fact. And if they ever one becomes the other, then the world ends. And darkness is associated with ice, and goodness is associated with the sunrise.
Okay.
Except
that makes sense.
Except it's not. That doesn't make sense because the thing is, when you go to hell, there's fire everywhere. There's fire.
Not necessarily though. If you go to like Dante's hell.
No, I know, I know that. But I'm just saying, when they go to this hell here, it's nothing but fire constantly in flames, where the world itself is freezing. So it's like, is it supposed to be their hell symbolic with ice on Earth? And hell has fire only, or like, because it doesn't really make that clear. And there's a really weird thing that happens with just the ending too when he gets pushed out. He gets pushed out into fucking space.
Oh, okay.
Because there's
space?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like they're underground, but he gets pushed out all the way into space, and then explodes after flipping in the air a few times.
The only thing that explains the ice is the lowest level of hell in Dante's.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that, but that's the world just freezes over because unicorns apparently control sunlight for some reason.
And we've killed all the unicorns?
There were only 2 left, and they cut off one of the one's horns, and then it starts freezing, but the other one's alive, so the dawn will still come. And then the dawn comes, and then they basically kill darkness with it by pushing him out into space, where he explodes. Look, this is not a good movie. I'm just gonna say that right now.
I always get it confused with Willow.
Yeah.
Which I don't think serves either of those movies very well.
No.
But I guess I would prefer Legend just because it has the whole devil getup, you know.
Yeah.
But so what would you rate it then?
I kind of just because of the effects and Tim Curry's performance, I give it a 3.
Okay.
But overall,
that's mainly for the effects. Yeah.
But overall, the story is kind of like meh. It's very predictable, like fantasy styled story, and it's not really that good. And if Tim Curry wasn't in it, it'd be really forgettable. Like if they had some other idea of hell. Like I said, some of the like ogre pig demons that are down there are kind of cool looking, but besides Rob Bottin's effects and Tim Curry, this movie is pretty forgettable because fucking Tom Cruise can't act.
Yeah, and this is pretty early.
Yeah, this is young Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, yeah, I called him Tim Cruise.
Tim Cruise.
1.5 out of 5 says Strog. Hi, sweets. All right, let's play this trailer.
Yeah, let me get us off the screen real quick here and get it back on. Okay, you're good.
Something really special.
Oh god, I fucking can't stand this faggot.
Something really special I've been.
It's a Universal film too, by the way.
Always go now, because I'll be here for a short while.
I'm hoping for a great dental plan.
Oh yeah, and it's a bad thing to ever touch unicorns because they're supposed to be sacred animals. So she touches one, it makes it freak out, but then the goblins attack it.
As they roam the earth, evil can never harm the pure of heart.
Tom Cruise can too act. So Sweets Hollywood Center of Scientology told me so.
Yeah, of course they did. Look, there's Satan. You're seeing near the end of the movie, so it's trying to hype up that he's going to be in the whole thing, but he's not. Yep, see? That's what happened. She was about to touch it, then that fucking sphere goes in the unicorn. And the goblin shoots it down.
Curry. I've never heard of this movie before, Sister. I think most people know
Confuse it with Willow, yeah.
Legend.
It's not safe to stay here. You'll have to hurry. Leave now.
We must find what's happened
Yeah, there's like only one character death in the whole movie, and it's Darkness, Satan. He's the only person that dies. Nobody else dies.
There's no darlings? You know, like kill your darlings? So like there's no good guys that die?
No.
What?
No good guy dies.
There it is.
Yep. You saw that guy with the KKK looking hood? That was one of the fake pokers. Legend. It's really not a good film. But let's hear Ridley Scott and Tim Curry talk about it. Let's hear the genius Shadows of Darkness.
I am the Lord of Darkness.
Zach says, "Oh, Legend is boss as fuck." Are you sure, Zach?
It's really not.
That kind of looks like a mushroom.
Shadows.
That's where the thing into space is. Yeah.
Is he in space?
No. That's in the center of the Earth. Out to space. That makes no fucking sense. The only reason you like fucking Legend, Zach, is because of Tim Curry.
As Ridley and I continue
I know that.
But he is the best part.
He is, but he's only in the last 30 fucking minutes of the film.
After exploring the possibility of doing it as a griffin,
that's Robert Bottin. Look at him.
Realized that it would probably be best to have an actor obviously involved in this because there's so many dramatic scenes, and some of the best scenes in the movie are actually
clearly. If you're going to have a movie, you'd have an actor, Rob.
Sarah.
I said I thought better be sexual, very sexy.
Shut up, Ridley.
So it better be a satire.
A satire.
And,
you mean satyr, not satire, you stupid fucking English idiot.
Idea of this red creature with these almost water.
Also, she's
British.
There's been different attempts at making
stupid. Yeah, I know.
devil personified in many different films throughout the years. I actually felt that none of them ever lived up to what my expectations of what the devil would be. And so this is actually probably one of my greatest opportunities in my film.
Also, she has no cleavage, but she has an outfit that would reveal a lot of
Darkness
cleavage.
is a very difficult guy to cast.
She's 15.
I know.
Physical.
So it makes it even creepier that Darkness wants her as his bride.
Grand, you know, dramatic, melodramatic requirements, operatic.
Oh, by the way, apparently the whole thing they talk about too is that evil can't feel love, but Darkness does feel love for her, right? So that's kind of weird.
And I always remembered Rocky Horror Show. And I thought, well,
of course you did.
Absolutely nothing to do with
Damn it,
this.
Janet.
That's a brave thing to do that he did. Really brave.
Really brave.
What's brave about it?
We are all
that he dresses in drag, Jenova. He's so brave and stunning.
Most are too afraid to see it.
Tim has the ability of going over the top.
You mean like an actor does, Rob?
You know, and his abilities in terms of being a performer are so amazing, and his face is so animated. And he, you know, when you see him in Rocky Horror Picture Show, you just can't stop looking at him. You know, this guy is a caricature, right? And he's brilliant. So I was thinking, oh my God, I get to put makeup on Tim Curry. You know, I get to make him up as the devil. I said, Ridley, I don't think that this you could have anybody better.
So I met with him. He was really
Darkness doesn't
and
love her.
Said,
he loves
yes,
the
okay,
idea of
sounds
corrupting
weird, but
pure innocence.
And
she represents.
Then, little by little, he gradually realized what was going to
That makes sense.
Well, he does say, I love you
And I would
at
sort
a
of
point, so
gradually
that
see
still is
drawings
weird to
of-
say
of-
that.
of where it was going.
Because
you know?
evil's supposed to not have that emotion.
It's good
And
to
we
see
had-
Tim not in a wheelchair. With a blanket.
Terrible
I mean, he is sitting down, though.
About what bits
So
of me
he
would
could still be in a wheelchair with a blanket over his legs so they don't get cold.
As he said one stage, oh God, you're taking my only thing left away from me. You've taken my eyes away. Because we put in these full scleroid lenses, because by the time you put all the gear on,
Not so
your head
animated
goes
anymore,
from
so
here
that's
to here. From here to here. So everything's got to come up. So we put in full scleroid lenses with the nurse. She's like cutting half a ping pong ball in half and sticking
He
it
kind of
in.
looks like Moon Man.
And these cat slits,
I
the
see it a
vertical
little bit,
slits
yeah.
in the eye.
My eyes were these total contact lenses, like a sort of wolf's eyes. I mean, the cat's eyes.
A wolf or cat?
Which
Then
was
what is it?
fairly painful to be fitted because basically, they took a mold of your eye and then they stuck it in your eye, and if it hurt, they sort of scraped at it a bit until it stopped hurting.
Initially, it was quite amusing.
How did they deal with your lazy eye?
Complain. And then finally, I remember
How
one
dare
day,
people complain in my films? Mr.
Jesus
Genius
Christ,
here.
Tim Curry is one of my top 5 favorite Psych episodes. Psych's a good show, Porky. I like Psych.
he liked the way he looked, finally.
Come on, Tim, stand up, do the warp again.
Dies tonight.
The devil is very intimidating in this movie. He really is the best part of it.
He is, and it's a shame he's not in more of it because it's what makes the movie.
Particularly in
I agree.
In that it wasn't,
because otherwise it's just boring as Tom Cruise walking everywhere
Inevitably,
with his
design
little
of darkness
fucking
required that Tim
gnome
would be
friends
in
here.
prosthetics from head to toe. That by the time he actually was in his entire costume with all the prosthetics, applied to him, he would actually then put on a pair of hoofs, which meant that Tim also had to walk on incredibly long stilts.
Oh, Jesus.
And I kept, as we were designing the character, I kept thinking that the horns had to be bigger and bigger and bigger until
those stilts
finally,
bumped him up to
we got them as big
5'6".
as we possibly could. And so from head to toe, I believe that Tim sort of measured up to be about, when he was on his stilts.
He fucking sells the seduction of evil too. Sarah wasn't super strong, but her innocent act bounces off him perfectly.
The horns are so long, and the stilts are, so long, and then Tim's
At least
like
fucking Ridley Scott isn't talking about making a Legend 2.
Rob is that he's in.
I didn't see it on his IMDb.
Because everything, when you look,
he doesn't have much time
left. But you got to think about weight.
He's got a kid, Gladiator, but there's he's got 5 or 6 movies in production right now.
Put 2 horns like that with the leverage.
Leverage.
On what?
Leverage,
on
you stupid
I can't put a helmet on him because his head will go too big.
The leverage of the
satire. You got to work this out
satire.
like an engineer. So you could pick each of those horns up. Those horns were ounces. Ounces. They were weird. They're disarming. You pick them up and we go, oh, there's no weight. And it had to be strong enough to be able to ping something. You didn't want to, every time you touched something, it broke. So it was quite strong as well.
Once you were inside all of that stuff,
Complete bullshit.
dazzling.
He really is a demon. He is really just a demon, and he reverted back to his natural form for the films. That's
great big superhero muscles and stuff. Because I'm not a big guy. I'm sort of.
We know, Tim.
10 in the casting books, and I'm probably
in the casting books
under 5'9".
5'9", my ass.
So it was kind of cool to be,
Well, Tim, now you're 4'10". Sorry to break it to you. I can't stand no more.
To actually to follow Tim Curry from the makeup room. Here's darkness.
Strong.
For the first
I watched
time,
Black
walking
Rain.
with
I
him
personally
on the
didn't like it.
street of
I'll
Pinewood
talk about it a little bit later.
We'll see the trailer anyways. I got on the list.
Soundstage of Darkness's lair for the first time, and to see what actually Ridley Scott's hell
5'9" with the wheelchair.
That's right. It was mind blowing. I mean, this huge, beautiful fireplace with these giant, flames that would come out of it. These huge columns and the giant doors and Tim's chair that's actually, comes half alive.
His chair?
And to see him actually enter into that.
God, it's just like it keeps predicting what's going to happen.
Where you actually
it's
were
awful.
living in a fantasy. And actually give you an incredibly
We'll wheel two, Richie.
Sort of
we'll wheel two.
Feeling, which actually the movie does when you watch it.
A dark day.
Dark day.
Why is it like this?
Oh God, we're gonna have to listen to Tom
Why
Cruise
is it winter
next.
now?
I'd be a powerful wizard
that fucking
indeed, could I
kid.
answer?
Mm-hmm.
Suppose you tell me, Jack.
Me?
Me?
You know these woods as well as any elf.
Tim Curry doesn't mind full body makeup and has a wheelchair. Maybe he can play Tonga.
Did you not see something odd
Drug.
today? Any strange spirits? Did nothing untoward happen?
No.
God, I fucking hate Tom Cruise in this.
No.
The day the set burned down was
What?
I think about 3 weeks before coming to the end of using the Bond stage, which was the big forest. we'd been
The
using
set
a lot
burnt
of gas
down?
in there for the fly.
That's
fire.
not the
We just
only
finished
time.
them
That's not the
fairy
only
dance.
time he would
So you have a
burn
gas
down a
line
set
through
or a
to bonfire.
forest.
You don't
He
have
did
to
it in
light
Gladiator
all the time.
too.
You want to control it.
Jesus.
So you just turn on gas bottles and it goes up. Well, I think what happened is the fumes gradually built in the roof.
No, I
which
think
was
what happened
70
is,
feet
Ridley,
out.
you're a fucking
And the roof is
arsonist.
350 feet long. And
I think that's the problem here.
But it's filled with a polystyrene structure which looks like a forest. And it's filled with pigeons now because I've been in there for weeks.
I will
And
never
every time I
watch
turn a
this.
pigeon loose, they don't come back. You don't whistle and they come back. They go into the trees and they live up there, right? So I'm in the editing room and I hear this pitter-patter down the corridor. Somebody shot past the end like a Terry Toon cartoon, came back and said, the Bond stage is on fire. So I said, you know, basically expletive, you know, right? And carried on
Fuck?
editing. He
You
said,
said
no, the
fuck?
Bond station on fire.
He said, "Fuck you."
So I walked
He didn't
out
believe
down the
it.
corridor, and as I got to the end, I could see over the buildings this giant column of smoke, like a battleship was sinking, or an aircraft carrier.
Is that your
I
life,
walked up to
Ridley?
the car
Stuff
park, and
sinking?
there's all the whole fire brigade. Then there's already 3
It is now.
television helicopters up there photographing it, and all my gas bottles were exploding inside the studio, so they had steel corridors.
Holy shit!
Every time a bottle went, the walls ballooned. It's kind of beautiful.
Holy
And the fireman
fuck.
said, "Is this yours?"
Yeah, it's
I
kind
said,
of
"Yeah."
beautiful, says
He
the
said, "I think you lost
arsonist.
it." And I said, "I think I have, mate." And I went immediately.
Holy fuck.
Because this is what I always do. It's like Zen. I went and played tennis. So Arnold Milchan knew in 15 minutes. the
I
ball
went
stage.
to
This was like
play
5 a.m. in the day.
tennis.
And Arnold had called up saying, you know, "Where's Ridley?"
Ridley.
He said, "He's got to play tennis." And he said, and there's a long pause apparently. He said, "You know something? He's absolutely right."
He was so practical about it.
Practical.
I guess when you're directing such complex stuff, you can't let yourself get hurt or get shaken.
He doesn't
like we all
care.
were.
No. He's a sociopath.
Why is it
The wrong Scott brother died.
It was weird though. I mean, to see him, okay, you know, I guess there's nothing to do. I'm gonna play tennis.
It was such
Nothing
an
to do
interesting,
but play tennis.
Sight that
Where were you when the fire started?
being upset they didn't come into it.
Yeah, I know you were. I know you were editing while it was burning. But where were you before the fire started?
A test before we dressed the set of the forest set. He'd done a test where he
Porkia
tracked
posted a
down
picture of
both
Tim Curry in
sides
Discord, by the way.
of the
Oh,
set.
no.
And the set was very high. It was built like in a miniature valley. And backed up on either sides. And these trees stood up on the banks with this big rooting systems. And the whole thing had a sort
poor
of
Tim
twist
Curry.
to give some structure.
Well, that's what happens when you
And
have
he had,
a stroke.
it was
That's what
probably about
happens when you dress up like a
20 foot up or 15
transvestite.
foot up.
God is
On a
punishing
crane,
you.
he tracked down both sides of the set in a very, very wide lens, and it looked absolutely amazing, incredible. It looked, and so I kept on saying to Ridley, "When are we going to do this tracking shot?" And,
Tennis, same as after Tony
said,
went
"Oh,
swimming
later,
that last time.
And of course, that very morning, he set up for that shot.
Yeah, I mean,
and they set up all morning.
The savagery. It's just savage.
Was lit and went off to lunch and then burnt down.
That's the one.
So we
he
never
also
got it.
burned down
All
the
I
fort in the
have is
beginning. In that beginning battle in
test,
Gladiator,
which,
he was
despite
like,
the
"This
fact we
forest
didn't
would
have
be
any
great if we had a
decimal
clearing. We need to burn a bunch of it down." And they were like, "Okay." So they let him burn a bunch of the forest down. Apparently, they were going to get rid of it.
Also, say hello to a midget in the movie.
And they looked,
of course.
Everybody went, boom.
Boom.
It really was spooky to see,
Okay.
to see
What the
how
fuck is
horrific
that?
it
That's
was.
Brown Tom.
Had we been on the set when that thing happened, there would have been some.
Is that a
loss of life.
midget?
There would have definitely been
Yes.
Man, he
What would
looks
have
like
happened,
somebody.
It would have been terrible because
He looks-
everybody would have got out the door, but the guys in the gantry would be in trouble because you've got to get down. And the electricians would have
They're
been
midgets,
The one
they
up
don't
top,
count
where,
as
where it can be 110
Where the
degrees up
electricians might be up there
Even
getting
with the
fucking
air
burned to
conditioning
death
sucking
because of
the heat
ice.
out. So you got all those lights.
Ridley Scott's the kind of guy who plays tennis with people who let him win.
Watchmen, it's midsummer as well. So
That nigga's
the heat
name
of the
was
roof is
Ass Heaton.
Metal is hot.
And
Tony
so
was such a
all the
good
lights
dude. He
are
killed
off.
himself. He
He's
killed
opened all the
himself
doors.
instead of following through
And
with
the night
his
the
Needless to
watchman, the
Warriors
security
remake.
guard was sitting having a
Says
sandwich
Rob,
in his stomach
shit.
flask in the
He
sun.
got me there in the
And
first
of course,
part.
every now and again, he's got used to it now. The pigeons are flying out through the door. They flew in. They'd fly out.
Oh,
get a
thank
bit of
God the
air, go back
birds are
inside.
okay, right, Ridley? And
So
some people
now-
could possibly
But
die.
the whole lot coming out now. So he says, "What the hell's going on?" So he stood up, walked in, and he looked and he said 2 pops, and saw a soft explosion on the roof, which then rolled all the way like a wave across the roof. And
What is wrong with you?
went outside.
Like what
Call.
is wrong
It's
with
too
you,
late.
Ridley?
Fire engines came and it
Do
must
you think
have been
he's
a
wearing
gas
sweatpants
buildup.
right now?
Probably.
Residue gas.
This looks like it was
But
filmed
the
in his
interesting
house.
thing was, all the pigeons got
Mhm.
out. There's 250 pigeons on the
Birds are
fence,
fireproof.
staring at the bomb stage burning, thinking, first of all, they build this artificial forest,
007
then they
stage?
burn
Wait,
it.
did you burn down the 007 stage too?
Oh my God.
You're a fucking mad lad.
So here's Black Hawk Down.
Sure.
You shouldn't have come here.
This is a great movie. I like it. I like it a lot.
What would you rate it?
300,000.
4 out of 5.
Okay.
That's not a war.
What's the best part about it?
It's genocide.
It's very similar to Gladiator. The best part is all the fighting, all the battles and shit like that.
Rangers, Deltas.
Did that guy just say we could get the CNN? Also, there's one of my favorite newer character actors, William, whatever the fuck his name is. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. I know he's from Buffalo, and he was in Drive Angry. I just forget what his name is.
Hell yeah.
I think it's William Fleischer. but let me
He
check.
burned down all of Mogadishu for this movie, says Rob. Betty no pants, says Cindy.
Oh god.
No pants, and he's wearing women's underwear. Very good.
Yeah, it is William Fitchner. That's the dude's name.
First bullet goes past your head.
I like the dude. He's got some good roles. He's also in some shitty movies too,
Eric Banner, sure.
like Independence Day Resurgent and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Wait, which Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
The fucking 2014 one, yeah.
There was literally a interview that I did not put in here, Ridley Scott with Michael Bay, talking about how Michael Bay is the best director ever. I'm not even kidding.
Oh, yeah, he was also in Heat. William Fitchner was as well.
Heat is a good movie.
He's in
And the
Dark
best part
Knight
is
as
when
well.
Orlando Bloom gets crippled, falling out of the Black Hawk. That's right, Rock. Josh Hartnett's in this movie. There's a lot of people in this movie. Tom... Oh, I can't remember his name.
No one gets left behind, you know that.
That dude that always plays like a retard.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll show him right here. Tom Sizemore.
Nobody asked to be a hero. It just sometimes turns out that way.
It's the second Josh Hart movie we're talking about this week.
Yep.
Ridley Scott is.
Before we go on, though, I just want to. I really enjoy Black Hawk Down. I'm a war movie kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, when I get into.
Do you think he burnt down his set with Black Hawk Down?
Like Rock said, he burnt down all of Mogadishu. But Black Hawk Down is fucking great. Obviously based on a real event that happened. How accurate it is, I don't know.
It's Ridley Scott, so don't expect it. Is what I would say.
I don't expect accuracy, of course. I think it's. I don't know. I guess it's probably 60% accurate. Maybe somebody in chat will probably know better than I.
Well,
But
actually, you know, sorry, go ahead.
Sure, yeah. We call that guy that guy's name is Guy Nerdly. The guy who goes, well, actually, that's Guy Nerdly. That's what me and Snake call that person. We can thank Bill Clinton for putting them in danger.
We hit 0, by the way, so it's gonna F probably. That's why you disconnected from me, and you couldn't hear me. It probably will be back now though. So you're saying something with Bill Clinton?
They said, sorry, I was just checking something real quick. Okay, we're back.
Yep.
Yes. Actually, yes, Jenny. Actually, that's a Guy Nerdly right there. Thank you, Guy Nerdly. Strog says we can thank Bill Clinton for putting them in danger.
Yep.
But it's about some guys in Somalia. Black Hawk, they're there running some sort of fucking mission for some reason. And one of the choppers crashes. I think actually two of the choppers might crash. And they go down. Now, one of those guys I think is still around. He's still a hero. And I think Elon Omar just came out like in the past couple months and said that those guys killed thousands of Somalis, which really, I don't think it was true, even though we should have just dropped daisy cutters on Somalia. It's just a fucking hellhole of a fucking place to be. We should have buried it in fucking sand and metal. But yeah, so you've got to deal with these guys who are basically caught behind enemy lines. Some people think they're dead. Some people like leave, and they basically got to fend for themselves. Some of the guys die. Like Orlando Bloom type guy falls out of the chopper kind of thing. And it's really because one of the main reasons they sort of get stuck in that situation is the leave no man behind thing.
Oh, Rock says it's fairly dramatized. The book itself is based more in depth. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. But the gunfights are fucking awesome. Like, the whole battles, like I know the beginning battle right when the thing starts to go down. It's a pretty long battle. I think it's almost like 15 minutes maybe. And it is so fucking cool. And they're calling everybody skinnies, you know. Which you couldn't fucking, if you made that movie today, you couldn't fucking call them.
No.
You'd have to say like bogey or something. You wouldn't be able to say, or target or something like that. You wouldn't be able to call them skinnies, but that's what they fucking were. They were fucking skinnies.
Yep.
But it's just it's a good, you know, I'm into war movies like that. So I mean, I guess you could call it a war movie, but it's a military movie. You know, it's one of those things like 13 Hours or Zero Dark 30, you know, or shit
Patton.
like that. Patton's a great fucking movie. One of my top 10 movies of all time, Patton. So yeah, I mean, if you've never seen it, I highly fucking recommend it. It's got a good cast in it. There are some people, you know, where you like, oh, Ewan McGregor or Orlando Bloom, and they kind of feel out of place, definitely. But they're certainly they don't throw off the movie too much. Not everything.
Joaquin Phoenix in Black Hawk Down. Whining constantly. I wasn't forced to be here, man. I voted for Bill Clinton. Why am I here?
So yeah, I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Definitely give it a 4 out of 5. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. Unless you're not into those type of movies, then
yeah, there's people that
you know
aren't, so.
it's very violent. It's very brutal. I know there's a scene where they get one of the guys while he's still alive, and the Somalis are like raising him up in the city and like dragging him out. You know, like it's very brutal. But very cool at the same time, and it kind of makes you appreciate what those guys go through, and it gives you sort of like a look into like what a shithole a place like Somalia really is. So Elon Omar, I guess, is from Somalia.
Okay.
She's a treasonous cunt.
Yeah, she is.
And she's an idiot.
Yep.
Which I think is worse than that. She's a fucking moron. But yeah, this interview, if you want to go back, this is Ridley Scott talking about Black Hawk Down. Oh, Black Hawk Down was in 2002? Holy shit. Dude, loads of Nogs get slaughtered. 10 out of 10 perfect film, needs more racism. Says Rock. That's true, Rock. Man, they kill a lot of fucking skinnies. They really do crush. And that's the thing, like, you know, they weren't even necessarily prepared for like that kind of thing, and they still do a pretty good damn job keeping themselves alive for the most part. You know, accidents.
Yep, go ahead.
Here from Alien to Blade Runner to Thelma and Louise.
Is that Charlie
directed
Rose?
Some of Hollywood's most acclaimed and interesting films.
I feel like
Last
I know
year,
that
his
guy's
film
face.
Gladiator won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Then came the sequel to
Manufacturing
Silence of the Lambs
Intellect.
called Hannibal, starring Anthony Hopkins and
Yeah,
Julianne
I don't
Moore.
know why this guy
His
has
latest
this
is
thing
much
over it.
talked about Black Hawk Down. It is based on the 1997 book by Mark Bowden. It is a story of the October 3rd, 1993 U.S. raid in Mogadishu, Somalia, that
No one
left
gives a
19
shit about
American
Somalia.
soldiers and over 100 Somalians dead. Here is the trailer for this
Now there's
much
a
talked
million
about film,
Somalians
Black
in
Hawk
Minnesota.
Down.
When that kid shoots his dad because the soldier slips walking through the doorway, the guy Bloom played actually lived in the movie in real life. Michael Bay did a pretty decent job with the movie about Benghazi.
There's own Fitchner.
They might not kill well, but they can rape and torture real well, so Swedes. They have lots of practice with the rape part.
Sometimes turns out that way.
Charlie Rose
To
equals
welcome Ridley Scott here for the
#MeToo.
first time to talk
Didn't he?
about
That's
this
true,
rather
he did.
remarkable movie. Mark Bowden was on this show, and he had with him a couple of Rangers, and we talked about it then. At the time of the book, everybody talked
guy
about
looks like he's dead
this
inside.
as some extraordinary sense of
probably is.
what it is like to look death. And to
Here's the
look
thing: when you
heroism
sit down
right
with
in
Ridley
the
Scott,
eye.
his ego
I was doing a profile
automatically
of Ridley Scott while he was making
consumes
Hannibal,
you.
and I said to him,
He
"What's next?"
consumes
And he
all of
said,
your
Black Hawk
insides,
Down.
your
And at that
metaphysical
time, I wondered
Metaphysically.
what you would do and how
your
you would
ego
make
is
this movie.
gone,
And
your
now we
soul
know
is
a lot of
gone,
people
your
are
will to
talking
live
about
is
it, not
gone.
only because
and everything that comes
not
with
only
that.
because of what happened there,
To
but
feed
what it led to in terms of American
Ridley
foreign
Scott.
policy.
The
People
insane.
saying,
Look at
taking note of the
him.
fact that Osama bin Laden,
What are you doing with your eyebrows? Ridley looks like a
observing what
cartoon
happened,
dog.
said the Americans
he
will
does.
always
He
run
looks
when
like a
casualties
cartoon
come.
dog to me.
I think that's part of the experience.
Shut up, you stupid
but, you know,
English
this was
bastard.
1993, and we had special forces going in there for all the right reasons, humanitarian reasons. The event that was meant to take half an hour took 18 and a half hours. We lost 19 guys. We killed 1,000 Somalians.
When you say
we
we,
actually
What do you mean,
did
we?
what
What do you
set out
mean
to do, which was to arrest
Ridley
what they
Scott?
call two tier 1 personalities.
Who are
i.e.
you?
The left and right.
You don't
hand
live
of,
in
let's say,
America, you
Farah
stupid
Hadi.
English fuck.
Just because you make
the
movies here,
government
don't make your.
reacted
Let's face it,
and withdrew the
Californians are
troops.
not American.
Within 2 weeks, the army were embarrassed and annoyed because the whole event was perceived as a military fiasco. And of course it wasn't, because they did what they set out to do.
We should say President Clinton was then
They
president.
did out to.
and
They set out
Chairman
to
of the Joint
crash
Chiefs
their
at the time
helicopter, and they did.
Was
Colin Powell or not?
Powell.
That's
Yeah,
what I
it was
thought.
Powell.
Colin
yeah.
Powell.
And I think everybody slightly withdrew from this thing as if it was a fiasco. So when Jerry approached me with Mark Bowden's book,
Humanitarian
and, the
aid is
screenplay,
meant
which
for
was
humans,
interesting
not
with me,
Somali
the book,
dogs.
when you read
That's
the
right.
book was so vividly portrayed a
I
blow
think
by
we should
blow,
take
second by
California's
second
statehood away. I agree.
process
Strong.
and cause and effect, which really became the anatomy of a war. So it, from my point of view,
Chicago
as
after
a
if they keep acting
filmmaker
up.
and
Just Chicago.
storyteller,
Just
we always looking for
put
a good
a
story,
fucking
good tale.
wall around
So that's what I
Chicago
was looking
itself.
to begin with, and I looked at the process.
Let them
I love
all
process.
die on the inside there.
And I love cause and effect.
When you guys doing the Rick
And because
Moranis
right now you
episode,
find
who
all
knows,
the best
Zach? Maybe
people.
sometime down the
or you
line we'll do
find
Rick
people
Moranis.
at their extremities, stretched to their extremities, and that's why it becomes interesting. What happened is it started to
God,
reverse
he's so
itself,
boring.
because then I saw it was perceived as an embarrassment. Why?
You're an
Then
embarrassment.
I remember of
His
course, remember
ego,
the event, but it was like
his
a
ego
glimpse,
sucks
a
everything
flash
from
of
you,
two
and now
bodies
you
being
have
dragged
no
through the
willpower
streets,
of your
the
own.
negotiations
So
for
you
power
have to
pulled you
sit
out.
there and listen
It was
to him.
released after 11 days, and it was over.
Thankfully, it
And I
doesn't
wonder what the
work
hell was that
through
all about,
media
you know?
like television.
Yeah.
There it was. Here it was.
You have to be in the
Army
room
annoyed
with him.
government embarrassed about the process, and
He's like in a
what
reverse
followed
scanner.
was
He's a
Clinton's
copier.
Decision, or Clinton's government cabinet decision, to essentially remove ground forces, military aid from.
I really
the
hate
American
Somalis.
foreign
Like,
policy,
really hate
really
them.
for
They are
the
right up there with the
next
French for me.
9
Says
years until.
Rock,
September
I
11th.
don't disagree with that statement.
You've got some encounters that have occurred since 1993.
Then you must love the
but
Somalis
basically
in
they've been
France.
airstrikes, right?
Because the media framed
so
it
we
as
made
a
the movie,
disaster.
and,
Are you
started
saying the
in
media
March
has
and
always
June,
been lying?
looked at what you call the director's cut, which is a presentation of where I am now to the studio and to Jerry, and it was perceived
Everything
as
on
being,
Charlie Rose
we
is
thought we already
boring.
had something.
Was boring. Says
What do you think you had?
Accuracy, and yet it worked.
What, Steven Spielberg level accuracy?
mainstream movie. I mean, I find myself in the process of making mainstream movies.
He certainly,
movies, for the most
Charlie is
part,
certainly no
tends
Tom
to indicate
Snyder.
fairly high
Let's
budget.
face it.
Fairly high budgets tend to indicate
Harlan,
that the bottom line
you
is
need
all
to
about
shut up.
commerce. And
That's
of
not
course
right,
it is.
Harlan. You're lying.
And so,
well, okay, maybe I was lying this one time. And it's not the one time, Harlan. This is like the fifth time tonight.
Driven.
Now wait a minute,
but at
Harlan.
the
You're just
same
getting way too
time,
excited
I'm
about this. Well, I'm
honoring
going to sue you,
an
Tom.
agreement.
I'm kidding. I'm going to sue you.
See how it's like all black?
With the studio, which says I will do the best I can.
It used to have
color.
It used to have color. But Ridley sucked all that away.
Price is what it was.
I guess the darkness really lives inside
it wasn't
him,
exactly
huh?
bargain basement, but it was actually a good price for what it cost to do.
You cast it. There is no.
That's what you
Mel
usually
Gibson
do in
here.
movies,
There is
Charlie.
no
You
Tom
cast
Cruise
people.
Here.
No.
There is no.
I preferred when the Germans were in France. That's right.
No, my knees have gone.
Forced awkward laughter.
Well, because Ridley
didn't
is
have
in
Tom Hanks,
control
you
of
did
his
do just
emotions.
Saving Private Ryan.
If Ridley laughs, you laugh.
It's how many hours? 2 hours and
2:23.
2:23.
Yeah.
Every almost every
they,
Ridley Scott
but
movie
you
is
got-
at least
you
2
got
hours.
Sam Shepard.
Yep. And I think what we went for was, the original story takes 100 characters. It's basically 75 Rangers and 25 Delta, who are the Rangers are the less experienced, and the Delta are the big daddies of the process of covert.
This is as plain
forces.
as this is as plain boring
you,
as that
you can't make a
table.
movie about 100 characters. So we really, one of the hardest
I'm going to give him
problems was
3 more
reworking
minutes
the
and then
material.
I'm done with it.
The writers, God bless them, till they were driven crazy, till we could.
You ever
get
feel
it
like
distilled
someone's
down
talking
to
but not saying
who-
anything?
what's
Sure,
the
yeah,
smallest
I
number
do
of
a
people
show
tell
with
a story
them.
with. It came to 37 people, so you're still not.
I'm sorry.
Most movies evolve
The
and
setup
revolve
was
around
there. I
two central
had to.
characters: the guy and the gal, or the good
I'll
guy
give you a
and the
clap,
bad guy,
that was
and
pretty
everything else
good.
circulates around it.
I had to, like,
And
hold
here,
back a
it's
laugh a
segments of
little
a jigsaw
bit.
puzzle, and everyone has a voice. And therefore, I couldn't get any smaller than that. And therefore, it was really on active faith. I talked to these guys saying, you want to do the film? Like Josh, who's heading certainly way upwards.
see that.
Superstardom.
Yep, absolutely. And Ewan McGregor, where it's really
Jenny,
a phone
what
call
is
saying,
your
will you do
little
this?
creature in your
It's
thing?
not a
Is
big
it a
part,
slow
but
loris?
it's really interesting, and I guarantee you a
Or is
really
that
interesting
an eye?
experience.
What is that?
Tom Sizemore, Sam Shepard,
Looks like a
Ewan
loris.
McGregor.
I
It's
think
a
it
good
is,
cast,
but I'm not sure.
You hope the story does what? The
I think
your
Meat's
telling
watching
of it
cut
does what
print
as a
in
movie,
4
as an
in
experience?
144p.
Oh, God.
Great. Oh no, has it gone down for you, Greg? I mean, we did hit 0. OBS has been a real fucking cunt for the past couple
shows the
months.
horror of war.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's been
if you
bad for
make it
COG
well
too,
and
and
it's-
Panorams it's disconnected.
Seriously
It's a Tarsier.
intended.
I've never
Which
heard
the
of that
book
before.
is, and there was no reason to bend the truth. The book,
Let me see.
fiction is nearly always
Yeah,
far
Google
more
that.
remarkable than fact. So
Tarsier.
just everything in the film
It's
is
back at
absolutely
720p,
from
okay.
the reports of the guys, how they
Tarsier,
saw things,
okay.
the hand on the ground, the guy getting blown in
Southeast
half,
Asia,
all that
including the
stuff was-
Philippines.
That's not me. That's in there.
Oh,
The
it's
guy
a
missing the
lemurs
rope.
and monkey.
The guy
Okay,
missing the rope
cool.
still doesn't know how he missed the rope.
Actually, I have
we
seen
helped
these
him
things
by
before, I just didn't know what
having
they're
an
called.
RPG
Neat.
go at the chopper, and those
Got some
choppers
boogie
weigh 8
eyes.
tons and can turn 90 degrees in 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
So the guy's going to take evasive action, and down he goes, right? Because the rope snaps, and
Talk
Before
about
we
the
go, we wanna see
movie.
Here is Mark Bowden, who wrote the original book.
Here he is, right here.
Black Hawk Down.
Well, he's got a
and
minute,
two
and
of
then
the Rangers.
we're going to Matchstick Men.
Well, what made it a great story to me initially, what attracted me was the notion of 99 soldiers pinned down and surrounded.
Has Ridley eaten
in
your
this
soul
ancient
yet,
African
sir?
city, fighting for their lives. It just conjured up images to me of
He's eating
of
the fucking
classic
scenery.
military confrontations like the Little Bighorn or the Alamo.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought, Alamo. I said, this is a story of people looking at the inevitability of death.
Right.
And thinking of comrades and thinking and not thinking of courage, but acting with courage.
Right. And what does that experience do to somebody? I grew up listening to the stories
If
that
it
my
was
uncles
today,
and my
you would call
father
them child
told about
murderers.
World War II.
Shut the
and,
fuck
and
up.
of course, we all were exposed to all the movies and television which dealt with war subject matter when we were younger.
Holy fuck, I just
Too
realized
young
Black Hawk
myself to have
Down
fought in the
is a
war in
remake
Vietnam.
of Zulu.
But as a writer, I felt that combat would afford just
Zulu's
the
a good
richest,
movie,
most
Rob.
dramatic material for a writer if you could get inside the heads of the soldiers who were fighting it, and ideally on both sides.
Were you at that time saying, "Oh my God, this is not going to be pretty, and we're not going to get out of here"?
This one of the soldiers?
You're exactly right. At that point in time, I realized, well, if we can clean this up and get these guys
Once
out
it
of
goes
here
back
and get
to
them back
Ridley,
to us,
I'm going to switch this.
everything
clean.
could still be okay. But then that, from the second that helicopter got shot down,
Like I'm
things started
glad
to
this
break down
this
very
dude's
rapidly.
a fucking ranger and everything,
I
but he
think there
looks
were
like
two
a
other
school
helicopters
shooter
that got
when he
hit within
happened.
about
Just a little bit. That
a
blank
span of
expression's
several minutes right after that.
You've seen some shit.
Another one crashed, and I think
sure,
another
it's
one
got
was
that
able
1,000-yard
to
stare, 100-yard
limp
stare,
back
whatever
to
the
the
fuck.
It's on my racism
site that
shelf.
it had taken off from.
Was there today for you, Dan? Is there a moment that sears in your soul and brain more than any other? A time?
Shut up, Charlie. God.
Well, there wasn't anything
Yeah,
that really
my
leapt
favorite
right
part. I
out
put down
and
this
grabbed
skinny,
me.
he
It
come
kind of
running up
creeped
to me,
on
I just dropped
as
him right
things started
there.
to come apart, and like many military battles, a big problem was communication, and communication tends to break down when the situation gets dire. And so for me,
It's called unload.
what I really remember
That's what
was
that
this
means.
creeping feeling as we started to
Take a
drive around the
shotgun,
city, which we did for
take
quite
a
a while.
rifle, and
in
then
an attempt
fucking
to pick
unload.
these guys
That's
up.
what that means.
I just had this
Situation is breaking down.
overwhelming
Well, if the
feeling that
enemy
we were just
if
gonna
the enemy
continue to
is
drive
rushing
around
you,
the
just
city
fucking unload.
until we were all dead
they were
because we were
in the movie.
taking
The movie
incredible
is
numbers
like
of casualties
it's like
that seemed
Resident
at
Evil
the time of
5.
the convoy.
As you're watching this, you told me that
They
you
just
had
are
arranged some
running right
screenings
at them.
at military installations.
Oh, God.
And the
Yes,
response
please.
is what?
I'm going to
The
Matchstick
response?
Man. You watched Matchstick
Yeah,
Man. You want me to pause it?
pause real quick. There's my cousin, Nicolas
Nicolas
Cage.
Cage, yes.
Give me a second to actually switch back over to us. All right, so Matchstick Man. I actually do like this movie. I watched all of it today. It's all about how Nicolas Cage is a con man who's been conning people for a very long time. And then what it basically comes to is he realizes he has a daughter, and he thinks I gotta reconnect with her, but I'm not really good at functioning as a human being because he's got all these like mental issues and shit. A lot of good scenes in this movie. And one of the
Anything in particular that stands out?
the drugstore scene where he's like, "Give me a prescription for this shit," and he realizes it's a fucking soy placebo for women.
Okay.
And he goes back to the psychiatrist saying, "Yeah, you gave me a fake drug." He's like, "Yeah, but you don't have the tics anymore because you're connecting with your daughter." So here's the spoiler for this movie. If I'm pretty sure, like a lot of people have seen it, Matchstick Men. Spoiler is he doesn't have a daughter. His partner Heather miscarries the child he actually had when she left him for a black man. Yeah, that's actually what happens in the movie. Yeah, she miscarried, and he doesn't have a daughter, and it was a long con done by his partner, Sam Rockwell, who plays Frank.
Right.
So
I like Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, he's good in the movie. So it was basically him saying, "You taught me everything I know, so I felt like it'd be rude not to use something that would be the best con of all time, and it's conning you, conning the con man." And he leaves him with just like $1,000 left from the whole, like, he had millions, a lot of money to retire with.
That's rough.
Yeah, but the whole thing, and I guess the interesting point is the chick that played his daughter, Angela, she comes and finds him later, like 1 year later, where he is now a salesman at a carpet retail company. And he's actually, like, saying this whole, like, he looks like he's really mad at her or everything, but he's like, "No, I'm actually happy now. I feel, like, a lot better. I don't have the nervous tics as much anymore. I feel like I'm an actual human being, and you've actually made my life better by doing all this stuff." She's like, "Yeah, and Frank didn't really give me all the stuff either, because he basically conned me on the deal a little bit, too, being a kind of asshole that he was." So she didn't even get as much money as she was told she would get for doing her part in it.
Right.
Because I guess fucking Frank's a bit of an ass. Like, what a shock.
Of course, yeah. Obviously. Can't trust a con man.
Yep.
So what would you rate it then?
Matchstick Man, I give a 3.5. It has actually a happy ending, too, because he marries the woman he kept seeing in the supermarket who looked like she had an interest in him, and he now he's going to have a kid with that person, too, because she's pregnant. So
so he's actually going to finally get
he's going to finally be a father and, see what it was like instead of just the fake con that he was given. So yeah, I do like Matchstick Man. It's a really fun film. It's well written. Ridley Scott didn't write it. That's probably why it's well written. 2 other people wrote it. I think they're brothers that wrote this film.
Okay.
or husband and wife team. I can't tell. I couldn't remember the names off the top of my head. I do like it. So let's take a look at it.
All right.
Oh, go ahead. I still like how it plays too. The whole thing of like a long con going on. And the long con is actually him, which he thinks it's something else.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, he has
Have
those
you
nervous
eaten anything
tics.
in 3 days? Besides canned tuna?
Anything else? Dirt. Obviously, I have a lot of ticks. These distractions affected you workably? What would you do if you had to change careers?
What, if I wasn't an antiques broker?
If you weren't a criminal?
Hey, Klaus.
I'm Agent Kellaway.
Came
This
in
is
because
Agent
of the
Cole.
heretical
I'm from the
tire
Federal Trade
exterminatus
Commission.
here
You've
now.
been the victim of fraud. Do you have any more of those L-47s?
Oh, yeah, maybe in the car. Oh, wait a second. Oh, here we go.
You have to con people
This
all
is
the
Dr.
time.
Klein. I just got off the phone with Angela, your daughter. She says she really wants to meet you.
Remember me?
Later, Gray. Thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, later, Gray.
Hallelujah, you got a chick in here?
It's a riot, huh? Little training bras hanging from the shower rods.
That's no way for a young lady to behave, and shame on you!
Nicolas Cage brings some of his best acting to this, obviously.
Right.
You're a con man?
Con artist.
Con artist.
Wow.
Flim flam man, matchstick man, take your pick.
And that guy Frank?
He's my partner.
Teach me something.
Rule number 1, never work near where you live.
Don't.
Rule number 2, don't write anything down.
He actually is a
You
good
regret
con man.
exposing her to that?
Well, it was a little, it made me feel a little, I was a little, I really liked it.
Acting.
How much you think we can take that guy for?
30 grand.
Also, there's a strip club in the movie too,
$1 million? Come on, I'm 21.
called like the
This 14-year-old girl
White Rhino.
working these people with me.
So that was an interesting scene, just seeing them sit in a strip club, laundering money.
I'm not very good at being a dad. I barely get by being me. You good to go?
Is there poke poo in the woods?
Just say yes, okay?
Fucking Sam
There's one
Rockwell.
last thing. I want you to give the money back.
He's in another movie called Heist.
Yeah, he
that I
is.
really enjoy him in. Gene Hackman.
No, it does. It does, just not very well.
He has a lot of damn nervous tics in the movie. All right.
Yes, which I heard he added himself.
Yes, he did. You can skip now.
Okay. Was this
Black
Black
Rain.
Rain. Okay.
We can watch the.
I
okay.
actually
You watched
yeah.
it? Yeah, go ahead.
I watched Black Rain.
Mhm.
It's okay. It's about Michael Douglas as a cop. He's doing his best Cobra impression.
Of course.
In it. I think he's actually the weakest link in this movie. He's got a partner,
What does
Andy
he?
Garcia.
What does he have? Throat
who's-
cancer.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Andy Garcia, who is in one of my favorite movies, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. Fantastic movie. We should be talking about that movie. But,
Ridley Scott didn't make it, Jenova.
no, yeah. Michael Douglas, Andy Garcia, they're cops. They're in some bar where there are some Yakuza having a meeting with some mafia guys. And in walks another Yakuza guy and sort of like holds them up. Like he's having some feud with this other Yakuza family, or which Sweets would probably know what they're called. A clan. I think they're probably called clans.
Probably.
And he like he kills the guy. He kills the guy, cuts a guy's throat, stabs the guy in the stomach, like right there. The cops don't do anything until they finally leave, and once they leave, they get like this head Yakuza guy. And then basically the movie is they have to transport this Yakuza guy back to Japan, where he's wanted for other things as well. Michael Douglas is against this because he wants him to have to go through the American criminal system first.
Okay.
Before he gets transferred over. What's it called? When they it's not deportation. It's when they send. No. When they send a criminal to another country, or like fuck.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I'll just wait for Chad to figure out, because I'm sure. So they have to take him to Japan, extradite. That's the word I'm looking for. Extradite. So they have to extradite him to Japan. They get to Japan, and he's basically that Yakuza boss is basically busted out of by his goons, and now Michael Douglas and Andy Garcia are in Japan, and they have to work with the Japanese police department to track down this guy. Now, what they're looking for is a counterfeiting ring. And it turns out that the Japanese have created two plates, which are what you use for printing. They're called plates. So they have two plates that are it's both sides of the bill, right? Like one plate for one side, one plate for the other, and they're perfect. And they act like you can't tell the difference between the counterfeit money and the real money unless you burn it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the movie is basically this hard-boiled cop. It kind of wants to be hard-boiled a little bit, but it doesn't. It just doesn't do the job properly, right? It never get. The biggest problem this movie has is me trying to take Michael Douglas seriously. Now I don't have a problem when Michael Douglas is playing characters like Gordon Gekko and shit like that. That's fine if he's like a Wall Street guy or something like that. But when he's got to play like this hard-edged cop that's like Cobra, he even rides a motorcycle.
By the way, Rock is saying that's the fucking plot to Lethal Weapon 4.
That is the plot to Lethal Weapon 4.
Yeah, we're talking Black Rain warped.
Yeah, Black Rain. So a lot of the movie is, American cops in Japan having to deal with Japanese cops. It's sort of like a situational thing. The Japanese cops have different rules. They actually don't really want the Americans there because, like everybody, like all the foreigners, they think Americans are cowboys and shit like that. We have rules here because, like, Michael Douglas and Andy Garcia, like, they'll punch a guy in the face. They don't care, like, and you're dealing with Yakuza. And again, it's like dealing with the mafia. They don't follow the rules. They laugh in your face. Shit like that. But eventually, like, Andy Garcia, they're being followed around by like this like motorcycle gang, these like Yakuza guys on motorcycles that have like flags and shit like that. Eventually, like, they're able to lure Andy Garcia away, and Andy Garcia gets his head chopped off with a fucking with a samurai sword.
Katana.
The guy rides towards him on his bike with a samurai sword and just cuts his head off. It's actually a pretty good scene. But this Yakuza is actually at war with a bigger Yakuza boss, a guy who is sort of, he's like more traditional. He's an old school Yakuza guy, and the guy that they're chasing, not necessarily a traditional Yakuza guy in the fact that he's more violent. He doesn't follow the traditions. Is he Yakuza? Yes, but he's more like, I don't know, mafia type in his actions. He does things that the Yakuza don't like. So eventually they want to Mark. I keep trying to call him Mark.
Mark.
Michael Douglas sort of tries to work out this deal with this old school Yakuza boss, but the old school Yakuza boss really there's a meeting that happens, and the old school Yakuza boss just really hands Michael Douglas his ass. He's like, no, you don't get to fucking decide. The plates, like, even though the plates are perfect, they keep saying, like, the plates, just like everything else we do, when we're done, the plates will be perfect. They will be even better. Even burning them, you won't be able to figure it out. So there's a lot of that, and it's sort of like a Masahara Masamoto or something like that was one of the cops' names.
Some moonroom name, yeah.
They have to cut, yeah. They just call him Masa, but he's like this old school like Japanese detective guy that they have to. It's like the main character in Japan. and like they try and get him to like loosen up and shit like that. He doesn't really like Michael Douglas. They show him practicing like hapkido or something like that, and he sort of just like he kind of fucks up Michael Douglas because Michael Douglas is talking shit to him.
Yeah.
And he thinks Michael Douglas is a thief because he watches Michael Douglas steal some money from a crime scene that they go into in a Yakuza house, but he only steals it so that he could burn it to see if it's counterfeit or not.
Gotcha.
But then you find out that Michael Douglas, because this Japanese guy, they call his department and ask about him, and they tell him that at one point Michael Douglas did take some money. He was part of some crooked cops, but he kind of did it out of like fear a little bit. Like, yeah, he needed the money, but he kind of did out of fear because the other cops would probably kill him.
Oh.
So there's a lot of shit like that. And then the end is basically like this awesome sort of like gunfight between a bunch of the Yakuza and the cops. Two of the Yakuza, the more traditional Yakuza and then the younger Yakuza, they're fighting, but then you also have the cops that are in there that are fighting with each other, or not with each other, but with the Yakuza.
Okay.
It's pretty awesome. Is it the best Yakuza movie? Obviously not.
No, it's way better.
Right, like the older the young guy wants a truce, or he says he wants a truce with the older Yakuza clan. And before he can do that, the older Yakuza boss says, first, you have to make amends for your past deeds the traditional way.
Ooh.
So they get the fucking knife and they have him cut off his finger. And they're kind of impressed because he does it without any noise. He stares right at the guy and cuts his finger off. Doesn't give a shit.
It reminds me of Each of the Killer, where a certain guy cuts off his tongue.
Yes. Yeah, it's very similar to that kind of thing.
The tongue will regenerate itself. We're like lizards.
Yeah. Bosozoko?
Bazooka. Bazooka Joe.
Bazooka. He has no honor. That's right, Sweets. That's what the traditional older Yakuza clan. That's why they don't like him. He doesn't have any honor, and he doesn't practice the way of the Yakuza like the traditional clans do. He's more of this. He's sort of like the John Gotti of the Yakuza, you know. Before John Gotti, the mafia didn't necessarily really act like he did. You know, being center stage and out in public and being like fancy and doing all this shit. You know, the mafia for the most part tried to keep their fucking their head down. But John Gotti was very confident and cocky and didn't think anybody could touch him. And that's kind of how this younger Yakuza guy is. But the Yakuza shit is pretty good. Like I said, the biggest problem with this movie is
Michael Douglas.
I just don't see him. Like, dude, he is trying so hard to be Cobra. He's got the leather jacket. He rides a motorcycle. He's got the Cobra aviator glasses, you know. There's probably a part where he's got like a fucking matchstick in his fucking mouth or something like that. It's just fucking ridiculous.
And then he gets throat cancer from that matchstick after deep throating a woman.
But you know, to be fair, I didn't have. It's not a hard sit through, you know. Do I recommend you see it? If you've never seen it, and like from the trailer that we're about to watch, it seems like something you're into, or from what I've said, it seems like something you're into. Go for it. You know, it's at least a one-time watch if you're just looking for like.
What would you
rate it? It's from '89, so it's got that feel to it. I rated a 3.
Sorry,
I meant 3 out of 5.
Sorry, I meant what do you rape it?
Oh, I rape it hard.
Okay.
Yeah, I would give it a 3 out of 5. Like I said, Michael Douglas, not the best. And like Andy Garcia plays like he's the detective who's like, he's not like hard-boiled detective, you know. He's a guy who like he wants to look nice and he cares about his suit and his shoes and shit like that kind of fucking guy. But it warmed up to me. Like, dude, like we're not on screen right now, but right at the beginning, I don't know if Gene, if you're looking at the watch together thing.
Yeah,
there's Michael Douglas on his fucking motorcycle right now, and this is the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
And right when I saw this, I just shook my head. Like, no, Black Rain, this is not how you should be starting. He goes off to do motorcycle racing. He races some fucking people in a race. Of course, that's what you do. When you race people, you race them in a race. Duh. But yeah, I give it a 3 out of 5. Gotti was a faggot who ended up with Jersey Shore faggot grandkids. That's true. That's very true, Sweets. They even did a fucking reality show about them.
Yep. I'm gonna play it now so we can watch the intro here.
Okay, are you on?
Yep,
Okay.
I am. I have it always to the side. It's not like it's never not up for me.
Okay. We're on screen now.
Yep, we're on screen.
Okay. Yeah, this is the beginning where they're at the, they're chasing him down, trying to catch him.
Is
and
he
shit
getting
like that.
fucking attached with a bag?
Yeah, he tried to suffocate him with a bag.
Wow, Michael Douglas
That's
does not look.
massa.
He really does not look like he fits in the role at all.
We'll take some of the heat for this, but we're not taking the rap.
Rap?
You see, there's a war going on here.
Oh, this
between
lady.
Silo
I
and
forgot
the
about this
old-time
lady.
Bosnian Sugai, and they don't take prisoners.
Well, the Yakuza, I wouldn't imagine them to take prisoners.
This isn't New York. We have rules here. I've seen Sato's work, okay? He ain't following your program.
You are foreigners. Nothing more than interested observers.
No one's gonna help.
Foreigners.
Gaijin.
Gaijin.
You're a
Gaijin.
barbarian, a foreigner. Me and you. More you.
More you.
Try to work like a Japanese. This is good.
Oh yeah, that's right. Some old lady comes over and like fixes his fingers so he can use chopsticks properly.
You are civilians here.
Oh, there's the biker gang.
Illegal for you to carry out
But they are like Yakuza.
Yeah, this movie looks like it's good if Michael Douglas was not in it.
I would have preferred. Now this is probably during like Michael Douglas's prime. So, but they needed somebody else besides Michael Douglas.
Rutger Hauer.
It would have been great with Rutger Hauer. You have no part in this.
Especially since it's a fucking Ridley Scott movie, you think you could easily get him.
Kurt Russell, I would have preferred Kurt Russell too, Porky. The Sweets, the actors from Japan are fine. I've got no problem with them. But I think Michael Douglas is the weakest part of this movie.
Michael Douglas, Black.
They even sort of pay respects to the World War II soldiers in there. The Japanese tell them how smart the World War II soldiers were. And now today you've just become like cowboys. You don't do anything,
Oh, okay.
You're allowed to laugh, okay?
Oh god, here's some talk.
I have no idea if this is... Alright, enough. R.I.P. Rutger, you're right.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Ridley Scott. What? That'll certainly give you a headache if you come
Oh,
off the
this
bike.
guy is
First
just
of all,
doing
he's very
edits.
tall.
Yep.
Very elegant. Had a great sense of humor. Kate is a very beautiful woman. Her sense of humor
wasn't
is
she
terrific.
in Indiana
These
Jones?
Yes.
Or am I thinking
small,
of some... Okay.
She's in the second one,
inserts
Temple of Doom.
Violence. I don't like to dwell on them. I think I'm born and bred on a camera. The rumor
Shut
has
up,
it I did
fag.
2,500 commercials before I did a film. I think that was way an exaggeration. I probably did
You're right,
about
Sharky, he's not a pimp,
1,900,
he's
just
a
under
simp.
2,000, which is still a lot. You literally have to
2,000
walk in,
commercials?
say, right there, sitting here, let's light here. How long? An hour. Okay, let's go. I can talk lenses and camera to any operator, and I'll know when a lens is going
feel
on
like
what
the
it's
ego's
giving me.
eating
I
me.
don't bullshit anymore to an actor. I'll say that's what it's going to do. You're going to look better. It's going to look better. Just shift 2 inches as you come in, will you? So it's all about the camera and not about me. And I'm saying no. Everyone else can
It's
go
all
and
about me.
F themselves. Japan is way
It's
too
about
expensive
me.
for us. This is crazy. Yuck. Whatever it is, I believe him.
I don't know what those Japs say.
I wouldn't have done that with sunglasses on, man. People will get up
Oh,
and
that's
sing
the other
into a
thing.
mic
There
and
are a few
sing,
scenes
try
in
and
here where
emulate,
they do not give you
or
subtitles.
mine to a Frank Sinatra record saying I did it my way.
You're just supposed to
or
sort of
actually do their own
infer
version
what
of I
they're
did it my
saying
way.
based on like
It
body
is so
language
funny.
and shit.
My
And
Way's
they
a
take
cursed
it
song.
really seriously. What is that about? You sure you want to cut his head off? saying, yeah,
Like, there's people
that's
that
what they
literally get
do.
so
These
upset
guys
about
are
hearing
all
that
by
song, they'll start
by
actually
code,
killing you
coda.
for whatever stupid
They
reason.
have their own code.
What song?
On a,
Gloomy
My
Sunday?
Way. My Way.
I'm a dark son of a bitch
You know
anyway,
about
because
that,
I'm
Curtis?
Celtic and brought up in all that rain. It was always raining where I came
No,
from in north
I
of
only
England.
know about Gloomy
So it's
Sunday.
in my
Well,
soul.
that guy killed himself.
Sentimental
Making the song, yeah.
is unearned emotion. Unearned emotion. That's when it feels phony. And I'm constantly fighting that one. Fuck him. Fire was bigger than I expected, but he was off and running, and he ran right through the bloody flame, which I went, holy shit.
Holy shit.
What? It's about misunderstanding, xenophobia. Xenophobia, for those who don't know what that means
about
fear of foreigners.
xenophobia. It's
The
just
danger is
normal
now,
things
the way
that
we
they
are
would
today,
say to each other.
everything is
Both
cranked up by
sides
the
say
press and
things to
cranked
each
up
other.
by the overkill of
That's
media.
xenophobia,
So
Jenova.
there is
Obviously,
now,
the
in
director
my
knows
opinion,
what he's
mass
talking about.
xenophobia instead of mass understanding. What? Well, he has the information which becomes key.
Down chunder.
And I'll bring up. Oh, God. Very nice.
What is this?
Prometheus
Martian
and yeah. So talk about The Martian first, and then you can talk about those other great films Ridley's made. So we've gone over so far some films we consider passable by Ridley Scott. Now we're going to talk about films that aren't really passable by Ridley Scott.
No, yeah, some of them are not. Martian is passable.
Okay,
but I think he barely talks about The Martian in this interview. I think it's more Prometheus, because this was at a time when people were really trying to figure out Prometheus and Alien Covenant and shit like that. The Martian starts out great. It's sort of like your guy gets lost in the woods and has to survive type movie, man versus nature, but it's Matt Damon on Mars instead. So Matt Damon is on Mars. Matt Damon. So Matt Damon is on Mars with this group of people, with this other group of astronauts. There's a big storm coming, and when that happens, he gets like taken off in the storm and impaled on like a little piece of like antenna. It's not enough to like really fuck him up. It's just kind of stuck in his side. Okay. But they think he's dead, so they take off without him and they head back home.
Okay.
But then he wakes up. He's alive, but he's stuck on Mars, and he has no way to contact NASA.
Yep.
And basically he has to go through everything and sort of figure out how to survive on Mars. He has to make water. He has to grow plants, like he needs water so he can grow plants so that he can eat. He has to make sure the hab is what they call it. They call it a hab.
Okay.
That's where everybody that's where everybody like lives, and it's it's pressurized, it's got oxygen and shit, and he has to make sure that is properly done. He basically has to do like 5 people's job at once to stay alive. And then he starts doing the math, and he starts realizing that even if he can last for so many souls, right? Like they count when he's on Mars, they count the souls. So like it's like he's been on there for like 24 souls, and then it goes to like 54 souls. But he starts to do the math, and he realizes that he can survive for 300 souls, but that is still not enough. And then there's this whole thing of, even if he could contact NASA, it would take 4 years to get to him. So it's all about that. Eventually he finds a way to contact NASA. They find out he's on the fucking Mars, and it's basically them coming up with ideas on how to get him off of there. Now the crew that left him there is headed back to Earth, right? But they come up with a plan to be able to turn around and slingshot themselves back, so that instead of getting to him in like 800 something souls, they can get to him in 500 something. So it's him having to go through, it's man versus nature basically
on Mars.
On Mars. He goes, and Matt Damon's actually kind of funny in this. He says things like, "I'm really looking forward to not dying," shit like that. He goes to make water. Right, he figures out how you can make water using oxygen and hydrogen, and he's like, "But I just have to, I have to set it on fire. I have to use fire." He goes, "Unfortunately, NASA hates fire, because fire in space means you're dead. so everything is flame retardant.
Yep.
But he finds a wooden cross and he shaves some of the wood off of the wooden cross to be able to get a fire from it. And then he goes, fortunately, he says, fortunately, in all of human history, nothing bad has ever happened when someone tried to light hydrogen on fire.
Oh.
And but then he sets up this whole thing and he lights it up and it blows him the fuck up. It just blows him up. He's okay. It's enough. He apparently in his mathematics he didn't factor in the excess like carbon monoxide.
It's math. It's science.
There is a lot of that going on. There is a shit ton of if we do this trajectory with this, and there's a lot of botany and how you would do this on Mars. There's a shit ton of that going on in there.
I was gonna ask, is this also like many of Ridley Scott's films based on a fucking book?
Yes, I believe this was based on a book. Yeah.
Okay.
But there is a point when Donald Glover shows up, not Danny Glover, Donald Glover, the new black kid, the This Is America kid.
Oh God.
And he's some black kid. I don't know if this is in the book or not, but it seemed so fucking pointless because this kid simply shows up to say, hey, I can get him off the planet in 500 souls instead of 800 souls. And they go, okay, that's a great plan. You can leave now. And then Donald Glover is never around again. It seemed like forced diversity. I don't know if that's in the book. And if it is in the book, I don't know if that kid is black or not.
Oh, by the way, fucking Strong posted an image of what Matt Damon's corniest line in the whole movie. I'm going to have to science the shit out of this.
Jenova isn't making it sound any more interesting. Yes, he says I'm gonna have to science the shit out of this.
So
but that's the thing where it sort of that's the thing. It's 2+ hours, I think, long, and it really could be an hour and a half. Like I said, once the black kid shows up and says, "This is how we do it," this movie starts to fall off and get boring. There's only so much that they can do. Are there different problems? Yeah, but in reality, they're sort of the same problem, or the formula is the same like every 15-20 minutes. Like, oh, I did something good. Here's a problem. I fixed the problem. Now there's another problem. It's constantly like that going on. So because it fell off, I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
If you're into this type of movie, then go ahead and see it. Personally, I don't really recommend it because the trailer will pretty much tell you everything you need to know about the movie. You know, he survives in the end, and he goes back to NASA and he becomes a guy who like trains astronauts, sort of.
Well, he's got to science the shit out of those astronauts.
Yes, he does, and he turns Mars into like a potato farm. By the way,
so the Irish inhabit Mars. Okay,
pour all the Irish to Mars. So, yeah, it really does. At about like an hour and something, whenever Donald Glover shows up, it starts to really repeat itself and get really fucking boring. Plus, it's got the guy who's not Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, that dude, yeah.
A failure. What's his name? I can't remember. But he's an idiot in real life. And he's kind of a nobody too. It really focuses around a couple of the other NASA guys going behind the head NASA guy's back to actually get things done.
Yeah.
But like I said, once Donald Glover shows up, the movie takes I just got super fucking bored. And I was like, nah, I'm good. So I give it a 3 out of 5. It tried. I've heard the book. I mean, usually you always hear this. I've heard the book is just way better. So I don't know. But let's watch this.
Yeah, let's watch Ridley Scott.
Watch this interview with Ridley Scott here.
Oh, God, look at him.
Yeah.
So, Pavis, I'll give you a 2-minute and 1 minute.
Yeah.
They put me to London, so I didn't do the interview.
Jeff Daniels, thank you.
Very good hotel there. The
Thank you,
Soho
Cindy.
House. Good fun.
It's very great, and you have very nice suites on it.
Failure.
Beautiful.
Interstellar,
Many
I
of the actors
preferred
who shoot a
over
shot of film
The
in Berlin
Martian.
Yeah.
lives there maybe for months and have this comfortability.
It's very nice, yeah.
Okay, I love the design of your movies.
Okay.
Let me say that. Martian is also great.
Oh my
like
God, you don't need to
Prometheus.
feed his
So the whole
ego
set
any
designs,
more
the
than you
whole
already
plots
have.
and, all the stuff. So,
Okay, he's
how
like,
much,
okay. He
do
didn't say
you
like
have
thank
the
you or
influence
anything.
from the
Nope,
director to
okay.
I have to
design it
mute
all,
for a
or do you
second.
have
Okay.
just a team and say, okay, make it good?
You always need a team.
You always need
all
a
the way
team.
back. I mean, right, I go back to
In case your
Duelists
ego
and,
gets hungry.
you know, Alien and Blade Runner, and I always need
a team.
And because I'm so picky, at major art school training, 7 years in Royal College of Art, so I really can draw, and so I make sure that I always pick very talented people, because it doesn't make it easier, it makes it more difficult for them, but it's like a cameraman. I'm very visual, so I need the very best cameraman. You can't tell Darius Wolski what to do.
The best cameraman I
but
can
you
find
could be a partner
is me.
with him, but he's fantastic, you know, and therefore, when I want something which is tricky, he can handle
You
it.
almost sounded southern.
So it's always a
Like,
big
"I want
test.
something."
And
Yeah,
I've done
almost.
films with Arthur Max now since Gladiator.
The interviewer sounds like
I
he
think almost without
worked for
stop, without
Microsoft.
break. Hannibal, I did Hannibal with somebody else.
Oh my God, that's a
But,
movie we're not talking
yeah,
about
I think
tonight.
Arthur and I
Yeah,
and
Hannibal
Jansen
is
Rich
so
since
bad. Oh my
Gladiator.
God, that movie. It's got one good part.
Darius, I've
That's
worked
when
4
Ray
times
Liotta
with
gets his
now, the
brain
last 4 movies, and I'm about
Yep.
to the 5th movie with him. So I need great designers with me, but I love the process of designing with them.
And I love that you are so much into sci-fi, like
Yes.
Blade Runner, Alien, Martian,
Yes.
Prometheus, and then
Yeah.
Prometheus 2 is coming.
Yeah.
So how much does sci-fi personally mean to you?
I think it gives you another opportunity to step out into a different universe. I don't mean that. I mean that metaphorically. I don't mean literally.
No shit.
A universe of saying, okay, what's this ship going to look like? Where are we going with this? It can't repeat what we've done. It's got to look different. One of the biggest challenges is to avoid repeating yourself. That's the biggest challenge.
And if you can get a very, very little sneak peek of Prometheus 2, because it's also from Fox, so
Yeah.
When did you start shooting and where will you shoot it?
We're starting actual preparation right now as we speak. The possibility of Australia and a possibility of Toronto. We don't know yet. All these films require tax rebates now to make it work, you know, because the budget's so high. So some countries offer good tax rebates. The reason why England now is so high, so busy, you can't get a studio
I don't know
in
why that
England
line makes me laugh.
because the tax rebate is very
I need
good, and
tax
so
rebates to
everyone
make my
comes.
movies.
Of course you fucking do.
Juve Ball.
And you know, Los Angeles is the
Los Angeles
town, the home of film. They have no tax
Yeah, except most now
It's kind of
they're filming in
So you don't
Georgia
have to
and in
handle it
Cleveland.
For some
I can't get in. I can't get in because it's too busy. So I have to go to, you know, Australia or.
You have to.
And we made this film, a very good studio in Budapest, brand new, huge stages, huge. They're nice because they're new.
His ego is so big, no wonder he conveniently sat on the fact Rutger did his own lines for his Blade Runner death scene.
Yep.
In
The
Jordan.
sweets.
We had
Actually, a lot of
complete
Rutger's
help
lines are
protection.
improvised in general too.
That's
That's
Rutger's an actual talent.
yeah, unlike this douchebag right in front of me.
From my own songs of Prometheus, so did you also into collective props, and did you have maybe some nice things at home?
Well, I do. I didn't bother for years, and I thought, damn, I'm really stupid here because I should have something from Blade Runner. I should have something from Alien. I've got nothing. But now I started to take things. I said, I want one of those suits. I've got a suit from Prometheus, spacesuit. I've
Really?
got a spacesuit from Martian. And I've got a space, and I've got.
I'll take
an
stuff that are my
original
props.
One for me,
spacesuit from
one
Alien.
for James
me.
Cameron,
Not
one
of
for
the
Steven
adult
Spielberg.
Suits. I had 2 small suits made for children, 3, because I didn't. The landing leg looked too small. It was going up to the roof was 50 feet. I wanted it to be like
Blade Runner's
80
great.
feet.
Ridley Scott makes good
So
movies.
had
I don't
my
mind
2
stroking his
sons
ego,
and the
says
cameraman's
Failure.
son.
Oh, that's great,
We
Failure.
made them cheap suits, and we strapped them on the elevator.
You're allowed to
sent
like
them
what
up.
you like, man.
So suddenly the leg looked not
We like to
50
pick
feet,
on
but
people
70
here.
feet.
Yep.
Over
We like to
crap,
pick
and
on
stuff,
Hollywood
they walk like a
people
dog.
here.
So I've
And
got
Ridley
that.
Scott is definitely a Hollywood person, even though he's English.
Ridley, I'm just gonna pause this. Ridley has his moments. He definitely makes some good films when they
Yes.
stand out, but a lot of his films are very
forgettable.
Yeah, a lot of his stuff is very forgettable. Like, he has a bigger filmography than you realize, you know? And then you go and you see all the movies he's directing, you're like, holy shit, you did these movies? I forgot those movies existed. But when he strikes gold, he strikes fucking gold. He makes something that is remembered, you know? So, but he kind of has a massive ego on him.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to like the stories and the rumors around like Alien and Blade Runner and shit like that. So all right, let's continue. This is from Cordry FX. I think that's how you say that. Probably, yeah. This guy does some pretty good
2017 was the year Ridley Scott's follow-up to the highly debated Alien prequel, Prometheus.
This guy sounds like a scuffed Sargon.
And oh boy, has the debating and bickering and bitching continued. If you hated Prometheus, then you enjoyed this movie for being somewhat of an actual alien movie.
You won't enjoy either.
If you loved Prometheus, then you didn't like this movie for not continuing.
I like Prometheus more than I like Alien Covenant.
Putting your own pieces together. Or you hated both movies, or you loved both movies. But now that a few months has passed since its release and the Blu-ray
well, Jesse Smollett will always taint Covenant now, won't it?
Now that most critics, me included,
yeah, but he's got one of the best deaths in the whole movie.
Reviews where we either bitched about it, praised it, ranted about it. This video is going to explore the good.
Yeah, that's true, Failure.
And the Ridley.
Yeah, we're just getting on to the newer Alien movies now.
So
and I know Dennis
Villeneuve,
I think is his name, did the new Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And he said that working with Ridley Scott on the set of Blade Runner 2049 was one of the worst experiences of his career.
It sucked. Well, it did suck. Fucking Alien looked as good as it did in AVP.
It looks bad.
They cooked it, put an oranges mouth with
it's all CGI and shit.
Alien vs Predator. Yikes.
I made 2 discussion videos based on Covenant. I couldn't stop talking about it for a while. See, unlike Transformers 5 where it's just rotten to the core, this Alien movie just has like all these conflicting qualities. Ridley Scott is too experienced to just make trash. But he's just sort of out of touch of knowing what audience.
He is out of touch in general. Look at him.
As much as I found this movie frustrating with dumb characters and just flat out continuity dodging, I really dug the twist ending, and it actually annoyed me how much I liked it. Had the movie just ended with Daniels and Kenny Powers just going in a cryo sleep and then the Covenant heads off to the other planet, I would have been done with anything that followed, because this movie would have just been like a nothing adventure that happens to happen before the Alien original. But the whole robot switcheroo and David vomiting up facehugger embryos, I was like, shit, okay, now I gotta see where this goes. In a perfect world, the next planet will secretly be LV-426. David will kill the whole colony with facehuggers, and some random engineer donut ship will arrive and then get raped, and we'll sit in a chair for a few thousands of years.
Same here,
and also,
Failure.
like I said in my review,
the original
really
Alien
is
a classic.
But just felt like it would have been better in its own original
Not because
film.
of Ridley Scott,
The other
though.
scene that I liked upon rewatch is when the xenomorph bursts out of that guy for the first time, and it and David both raise their arms.
It's so bad.
Is really
Look at
beautiful.
that shit.
We're
It's
looking
so
at these 2 monsters
bad.
bombing into a corpse. And that's the scene I sort of like.
It reminds
And I have to
me
say
of
sort
the
because
one
even though I like
puppet
that
from
moment,
Puppet
I have to
Masters.
hate
Yeah,
the
it
fact that
does.
this person
Yeah,
looks like
that's
stick figures
exactly
on
what it
arms.
reminded me of
James
when
Cameron's
I saw
chest
it.
burster had arms. Did anyone see that movie? Aliens? I heard it's overrated. Now, let's talk about old mate Ridley. Recently, it hit the internet,
He's making the
although
sign of
not
the devil.
confirmed.
Illuminati
20th Century
confirmed.
Fox is reassessing the Alien franchise after Covenant's poor box office results. Now, this is interesting. For the most part, it's
Doesn't
actually
matter
because
because
of
Disney's
Ridley
going to make a
that the
reboot
Alien
anyway.
franchise is relevant again.
Disney is
Alien
trying to
vs.
push
Predator
it
came out to poor
push it
reviews,
back
but it made some money.
as
And
much as
Alien
possible,
vs.
waiting for
Predator,
Ridley to
Requiem
die,
came out, no one really
so that they
cared.
can
I didn't
fucking
mind. It won points for me for
reboot it.
bringing back the gore and the Predator medical kit. Also, it reminded me of Gremlins. And so Alien
Gremlins?
hasn't been anything since the 4th movie, really. AVP added to the lore.
Stop saying
but
Resurrected
some
is
people like
good.
it, others don't. And to
I
me,
like Brad Dourif
aliens
in
and
it.
predators can fight for any reason.
Yeah.
They don't need
Ron
to
Perlman's
be in a
in that
pyramid
movie,
in
though.
the
He is,
Antarctic.
yeah.
Also, why was there Egyptians
I heard he
living
used to
in
piss on his
Antarctica?
hands.
Did people work back in Aztec times? I didn't bother researching
And I
it,
shook
but
people's
it doesn't sound like
hands,
it makes
and they
sense.
didn't know.
Let me in the
Yeah, that
comments
means you
if
pissed on
stone
your hands,
pyramids can be
fag.
built in icy places. But Alien was back.
Look at
We
that
saw
picture.
The franchise was going
Yeah, that's
nowhere
his-
and
that's his
wanted to
Wikipedia
return
picture,
to,
by the way.
Waterboard some life back into
The Queen
it.
Alien
oh
will
boy,
not be a
finding
Disney
out about the
princess.
space
That's
jockey
right. It's
and
true.
the cargo full of xenomorph eggs. Can't wait to find out about that mystery. Those eggs are grown by the robot created by the company that sent these space truckers to investigate.
Space
The
truckers.
universe takes place in your backyard, and you are the Nostromo crew. Wayland Yutani are your parents, and the xenomorph is like that
Look at
piece of
Henry
shit
Dean
cat that
Stanton.
someone else owns, but it keeps coming back into your yard because your parents feed it sometimes, and now it thinks it owns the place. And this is what's been sparking the controversy. This fossilized space jockey in the original Alien movie is more connected to humans than we knew. Not so alien.
That's so retarded.
Now, to
That's
be
a
fair,
dumb plot
an
point.
Avatar CGI movie about this thing's race is probably the weirdest idea for a movie. Although
Yeah, and the
that's
space
what
jockeys
a
were actually
real
explored well in the
backstory to
comics
this thing would
before
be.
the
However,
fucking.
Prometheus would give us a different origin.
But that's not
Already
canon.
I
we
know,
have
of
this
course
this
not.
weird
No.
elephant thing. It's just a guy in a suit, so that was one thing to get used to. But then
Okay.
at the end, we get this giant kraken rapist who face fucks this pale guy, and then he shits out the blue dolphin. That looks like an alien knockoff.
Oh,
T-Rex,
that's called
but
the
still very
Deacon.
much resembles an alien. Then in Covenant, there was like this backstep where Ridley changed his mind to David made the alien. Now in David's creepy workshop, there's like a bunch of trial runs. The black goo like makes stuff into violent stuff, and mixing with human DNA, he gives you the AVP aliens, which has an
Just remake Alien from the cat's point of view,
plant
says
nipples shoot out spores or
So,
dust.
here's
Then
my
later
big
on you
thing.
Crap out white
If-
aliens that don't have an egg or
Yeah.
face
If
like a
David's
process.
supposed
I'm
to be like
sorry,
a
but that
Wayland
just
Yutani
doesn't
robot,
make sense.
why is he
This
more
thing
advanced
called
than the ones that
necromorph
happened
is
in the
just an
other
excuse
film?
to have a different
Because
type
he
of
was
alien,
built
but it doesn't make any
specifically
sense.
for
Plant dust and
Wayland.
face huggers.
Okay.
He
That
is
such a
Wayland's like
stretch to have
personal
the same result
assistant. He is
follow.
better
It's probably
than
just
all
another
of them
excuse for NECA to make
because
another
he's
toy,
Wayland's
which will have 50
personal
variants later.
assistant.
This brings me
And
to my next
Wayland built
topic.
him
Who's to blame?
specifically
In my
to
alien
like
discussion videos,
like
people have blamed
experiment
20th Century
on
Fox for
him or
pressuring
like
Ridley
keep
to
an
have
eye
more
on
alien
him to
stuff in his
try
movies,
and
which
boost
on the
AI.
surface makes sense,
Okay.
especially
Now there
if they're
are
trying to
things, and I
rework
think Ridley
the
Scott
Alien
confirmed
franchise
this,
behind his
that
back
Blade
while
Runner
he's
and
working on his
Alien
films,
are in the
before
same
he starts
universe,
Alien Awakening.
which means
Didn't make money, so
that
they want to
the
restrict
replicants
it to
are
one more
basically-
Wayland,
prequel. And they wanna
Wayland
do like
and
a Force
Terrell
Awakens style
are
soft
actually
reboot. Fox would
friends.
be so
okay.
easy to blame.
So
We
a
live in
lot
world
of
where
the
so many
AI
studios
technology
are just
comes
fucking
from
up franchises
Terrell.
left, right, and
Oh,
center.
that's a good
Sony,
sign.
they just keep hitting them
Sure.
home runs.
Oh, God.
Warner
Just keep
Brothers
hitting
and
them
the
fucking
DC
home
movies
runs,
are
Disney.
like falling on their face, except for Wonder Woman. Felt like the first heartbeat in that universe. And don't even listen to James Cameron. Fuck does he know about female characters?
Well, he doesn't know anything about them
Disney won't
anymore.
let the
No.
Pirates of the Caribbean franchise die. But there is also something else about 20th Century Fox that I want to point out. They once had the track record of putting their fingers into their franchises.
I'll do the fingering.
X-Men was going downhill. Fantastic Four was all over the place.
Yep.
People hated Daredevil because of Affleck, but now they forgot that they did, and then they love him again.
I don't
Now
know where
they've
that
really
came
changed
from
their
either. I
tune.
hate
Two
Bad
big
Fleck.
reasons that prove that Fox are starting to take risks. Deadpool and Logan.
Well, they were taking
no one
risks, they
is
went
making
bankrupt.
Big budget movies like that. They are R-rated game changers. Well, there is Dredd, but none of you cunts saw it in the cinema, so it didn't
I
make any
fucking
money.
saw it.
Won't
Fuck
get the
you,
well-deserved
cunt.
sequel it deserves. Go watch Dredd if you haven't. Buy it on Blu-ray and then
Seriously,
watch it. Dredd is so
go
fucking
watch
awesome. It's
Dredd
like the
if you
RoboCop
have
remake
not
actually
watched
wanted.
it.
Anyway, back to Fox. They are now taking chances, and you can look at Prometheus for that. Ridley wanted to make an Alien prequel with no
No one
alien
cares
in it,
about Ridley
and they let
Scott,
him.
though.
Any other studio would say, we need the alien in the first 30 minutes, or something that looks like it.
I
So
mean,
I'm not
we
gonna
don't
point
really care
anything
about
at
him, though.
Fox for, over
It's
this
true,
alien
we're kinda doing
situation.
the show
Now
just
let's
kinda
have a
make
closer
fun
look
of
at Ridley. People who watched my Covenant review thought I was just hanging shit on him for 8 minutes. I have the respect for Ridley Scott to watch interviews of him, getting his point of view, and see what he's going for.
Look at those
I don't
bags.
just jump on the hype train.
He looks so
like
defeated.
Wonder Woman.
Like he should be.
Then when someone I highly respect, like James Cameron, has an
What do you
unfavorable
respect
opinion
James
of it,
Cameron?
I don't shit all over him because of the train I'm on. I mean, have you seen Aliens, by the way?
Everybody always points to
Yeah.
James Cameron when
Terminator
they talk
Buddy,
about
take
when
the
they
seat
say like,
off,
oh,
man.
there's no
2017,
female like
bitch.
leads in
Now,
action.
something I want
or
to note
something.
about Ridley
So
Scott
the
is
the movies that
the
everybody
amount of
always goes
power
to
that
is
he has in
Terminator
Hollywood, which
and
he
Aliens.
rightfully has earned. Alien made people look to the stars and say, fuck that. Blade Runner was ahead of its time. Bunch of Oscar-winning movies like Gladiator and Black Hawk Down. He's also been knighted by the Queen.
No one
He's certainly
cares.
accomplished great
Must
things.
mean he's
but
good, then.
in recent
No.
days, he's been
Gays
kind
have
of
been
all
knighted
over
by
the
the
shop
Queen. Who
with
gives a
such hits
fuck?
like Robin Hood that just looks like Gladiator, and Exodus: Gods and Kings, starring white people on green screens, and The Martian. It's Matt Damon stuck in space. Again, all movies that don't matter if they're not your cup of tea. However, if you start putting your fingers in the alien mythos,
I'll do the fingering.
that's a high risk and could easily not feel pleasant. Now, for the most part, it seems that Ridley wanted to dig the Alien franchise out of the ground because it's what
And
got
then
him started,
rebury
and he
it.
could bring some
Yeah.
sci-fi credibility back to it. However,
His eyes look like pitch
that
black.
comes with his own
Like
agenda.
picture.
David, Ridley wanted to dance around the themes of artificial intelligence and creations versus creators, especially with making a sequel to Blade Runner. Now, something I didn't know until recently, I've only seen Blade Runner 1.5 times.
What?
So I haven't explored all of the different versions or delved into
The
like,
queen
give
doesn't know
up?
who the fuck
Apparently,
these
the
people
twist,
are. She just gets
depending on
handed a
which
list of
version you
cunts to
watch,
read.
is
to.
that Harrison
It
Ford, who
says
plays a
what?
certain type of cop called Blade Runner, hunts robots called replicants. Androids designed to look like
That's Roy
humans
Batty.
that can do all the dirty jobs, and that the real humans can then get fat and do nothing. Scott's
beat
apparent
anorexia.
vision of the ending is that Harrison Ford is a robot. And apparently, Harrison Ford hates that ending, the lead actor. And also, apparently they are still arguing about it for Blade Runner 2. So at the moment, Ridley has some sort of robots who think they are normal humans fetish. And it seems to be going on
Well,
with this
yeah,
new Blade Runner.
probably because he
and it's
wants
also
that in real
spilling into
life.
the Alien franchise.
He
In
wants a
Covenant,
woman
we have
that's a
David
robot.
returning, who is more crazy and into creating, and they introduce Walter, who looks identical to David, and we can play around with some same person, different ideology themes.
Which is
Remember
the
what I
only way
said?
the ending actually
David and
works
Walter
in
story
Covenant
should have
is
been its
because
own
they
movie.
look like
How
each other.
about a Blade Runner sequel, or maybe the Blade Runner
Replicant
sequel?
Bros.
Unless Ridley's overall plan is to have the whole Alien franchise link up to Blade Runner, like he wanted to connect his own universes. Now that could work. This brings me back to 20th Century Fox, and how they are taking a risk letting Scott redo the Alien origin. Two factors here. One, all these ideas can only come from Ridley, who enjoys bouncing
Only
around
him.
with religious ideologies as well as technology and
Only
robotics.
him.
And two, just
Nobody
like
else
George
can come up-
Lucas, he's too much of a legend for creating this franchise.
Legend.
And who's going to question him when he comes up with
God,
these
I
wacky
hate
ideas?
this dude.
The man made.
Hey, by the
Well,
way,
what
he
he's
wants to
saying
make
is,
another.
what he's
Whatever he
saying is
comes up with, you're
because
gonna
Ridley
trust him.
Scott
Whereas
has
sometimes
planted
the
himself as
creator
this
can be
legend,
questioned. Like,
nobody
Mr.
will
Scott,
question
why do
him
these
when he comes up with
necromorphs come out
stupid
of plant
ideas.
spores when they don't have their
True.
own version of a face hugger? Mr.
Like George
Scott,
Lucas,
why
Stephen
does
King,
this big rapey squid have teeth when
you
it's
name
never
them.
gonna eat
Just because
ever?
you have
Mr.
this like
Scott,
history
in
of
the
creating
original
these
movie,
movies,
they have 4x3
like
analog
now nobody
monitors.
questions
Why does
you
the
and
story
tells you
set
this is a
before
bad
that have
idea.
That's
holograms?
retarded, yeah.
And along with that, the black goo. Now,
By
I
the way,
realize that the
Genova,
black
you know
goo
we live
now
in the Blade
means
Runner year right
nothing.
now. It's
purely a
2019.
plot
That's when
device
Blade
to
Runner
take
takes
you out
place.
of the jam. Think of it
Wow,
this way.
kinda
Let's put the black
disappointed.
goo
I know,
in
we don't have any
context.
replicants
This
in
is a
space
big
yet.
black dildo. This dildo can turn worms into snakes. When ingested, it makes you have this little thing in your eye, and then when you come into a lady, she will give birth to a giant squid that rapes this guy, and then he will give birth to a small blue dolphin kid. Also, this dildo can wipe out a whole town
Yeah,
of engineers.
fuck Dan
It
O'Bannon,
can
he did
destroy
nothing,
their
says
clothes, but it can't melt off this robot's finger. This dildo can create and destroy. Beware the dildo, or it will do the fingering.
I'll do the fingering.
This is meant to be sci-fi. Sci-fi needs to be heavily
Earlier,
thought
Ridley
out.
Scott is the
Sci-fi
kind of
just
guy
can't
who
be
plays tennis with
juggled
you who
with
let
every
him
next
just
film.
win.
And this
In
isn't
real
down
life,
to the
too.
fact that I'm just
They
an
just let
idiot
him go
fanboy
on
who
and keep
doesn't
doing
get it.
shit.
Even Quentin Tarantino and James Cameron, two of the greats, can
No,
have
they're
issues with
not.
it.
It was actually kind of cool to see such a big deal, serious science fiction epic by a director like Ridley Scott. Right. But there was part of it I actually did like, and overall the experience was really
He looks
cool
like an
having been
autistic
in it.
child. You ever notice
Look,
that?
I thought
He
that
kinda
Alien
does.
Covenant was a
He looks
great
like a
ride.
washed-up pack.
It was
You ever notice
beautiful.
that?
I love Ridley's
looks like an
films. I love
alcoholic.
his filmmaking.
He looks
There was
like
also a lot of dumb stuff in it, though. When it got to the point where they're on a,
Is he wearing a
another
weed
planet,
shirt?
and then a space
Life
cobra literally
Research Group?
shows up. Yeah, opens up its hood.
Looks like hemp.
And the guy who's in charge of alien creatures
Oh, it's Craig
goes,
Ferguson.
"Hey, little fella, how you doing?"
It's not a film that I would.
I always just want to punch Tarantino. He's got one of those
like
fucking
films where you
punchable
invest in a
faces.
character and then they get sort of.
Shut up,
you
James
know,
He looks like
Cameron.
he's trying to swallow his
destroyed
face.
at the end. So
Shut up, James
it's
Cameron.
not.
Shut up,
I
James
would not
Cameron.
have
Shut up,
made
James
that
Cameron.
film.
Shut up, James Cameron.
I
Shut
can't
up, James
comment
Cameron.
on where
Shut up,
Ridley's
James
going
Cameron.
with it.
Shut up, James
So
Cameron.
in closing, I want to say
Thank you.
this. Apparently Fox are only giving Ridley one more prequel to wrap it up. And I'm actually glad about that. That's the prequel problem. No one wants to sit through 6 movies waiting for it to link up to the original. Especially when the original is meant to take place over 10,000 years after the events of these movies. so this thing can get fossilized in a chair. These movies have their own good moments and their bad moments, but I'll never be able to watch the original Alien and see the echoes of David's storyline. Just like how I can't watch the original Star Wars movies and see this little bitchy, or older bitchy, Anakin in this Darth Vader suit. But also on top of that, I said I liked Covenant's twist ending, so I'll probably be back in the cinema to see what happens with that.
Of course
I don't
you
know if I'll
will.
be disappointed again, and I don't know if
Don't
all
worry,
this
they didn't
head
make it.
scratching will be worth it in the end. But until then, Aliens was better than Alien.
Oh no!
Alien has fuck all sci-fi in it, and James Cameron's a genius.
You son of a bitch! He hit us right at the end with it.
He did.
All right, let's go on to Blade.
It's him, James Cameron.
No, I don't think
but
he's
before
serious.
we do that, I would just say Alien Covenant 3.
Okay.
Prometheus also a 3 out of 5.
All right.
I just don't. They were just. Let me tell you, it's funny because Prometheus was. I was like, ugh. And then Covenant came out, and then I went back and watched Prometheus. I was like, well, at least it's kind of.
At least it's not Covenant, right? It's like
At least it's not Covenant.
Let's
right?
have the.
And the thing is, I like Michael Fassbender.
Mhm.
I think he does good as David. I think he plays a good role as David.
Mhm.
But everything else in those movies is just so. I don't know what anybody was thinking, and I think it goes back to, like he said, like Ridley comes up with these fucking ideas, and there's nobody that has the balls to tell him like,
Hey,
it's shit.
Hey Ridley, they already did that in this comic. No, it's my vision now. I must
My
do it.
vision. I have to do everything.
I'm gonna
All
burn
right.
down this stage if I have to.
I'll burn down the world.
Yep.
Um,
Blade Runner.
All right, yeah. Let's finish
final
up with Blade Runner.
The final film for the night to talk about. No, don't play it yet. I don't have it on the screen. I wanna just talk about it real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
So Blade Runner, I will shamelessly admit, used to be in my top 10s at one point, a long time ago. Not anymore. It's not. It's no longer in my top 10s. I still like the movie.
Is it 11? Is it in top 20?
Maybe. I don't hate it. I like the film a lot, but it's not something that I can consider to just sit down and watch. Some people this is their favorite movie. And I'm not one of those people anymore. Just watching it again and a few times, like, man, Ridley is so slow with going with stuff. The things I do like about Blade Runner though are the fact of the neo-noir setting. It's got a very like cyberpunk noir theme going to it, where it feels like it's very, hard-boiled kind of thing going on, especially with the like stress of who's a replicant, who isn't a replicant. Harrison Ford, they should have got somebody else to fucking play that character, like Lance Hendrickson, or like anybody else.
Yeah.
Because fucking, I don't like Harrison Ford anymore. I used to like him as an actor, but then he became a whiny bitch in real life, and I saw like more in the movies, like he's just a fake pretend tough guy.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. My favorite scene with Harrison Ford is Air Force One, where he tells Gary Oldman to get off his plane. Get off my plane.
Meme Ford.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've kind of always felt like that about Blade Runner, like what you just said. I have tried to watch Blade Runner maybe 50 times, and I just always end up just like, where's Rutger Hauer?
Yep.
Let me just see Rutger Hauer.
And he is the best part of the movie. Roy Batty is one of the most compelling android characters I have ever seen in a film, because he is not evil.
Character to be in general.
Yeah.
Not even like an android character, but just compelling.
Yeah.
All around.
Yeah, and Roy Batty is not evil. He just wants answers to why he has to die, and he tries to figure out like what's going to happen when he dies, because he's an artificial intelligence. He doesn't know what's going to happen.
Right.
But he is very human. He's one of the most advanced fucking robots they've ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, like, even the other robots he's around, they're not like him. They are, like, one's the sex droid that's basically made to be a sex slave robot. And the other guy was basically a mining operations robot. But Rutger Hauer's character is basically, like, so advanced. He was meant to be fit into societies and to basically be in, like, government positions. So then he has this whole, like, existential thing when he meets the creator of him, and he's like, well, you made me. can't you make it so I can live longer? And he's like, I'm sorry, there's no way to do that. And he kills him because he doesn't kill him out of like hate, he kills him out of like frustration of knowing that he's still going to die no matter what.
Right.
And it makes the character very human. And the whole thing that goes with it too, the replicants, you know, all the stuff with the Blade Runners who are meant to hunt them down because they become defective and all this other stuff, is like you then see the other replicant that's the Harrison Ford's love interest in the movie. She's also like a Rutger Hauer type of one, but even better because she's supposed to last indefinitely. But Rutger Hauer was one that was not built to last indefinitely, and there's no way to reverse that.
Yeah, well, it's that thing of like humans having to deal with their own mortality, and it's sort of I guess you could say before Ghost in the Shell kind of did it.
Yes.
With the AI wondering what is consciousness and what is life and why are we here kind of thing. Blade Runner was doing that kind of thing.
Rutger Hauer.
And I do enjoy the philosophy aspects of that, just in general. I like a lot of movies like that.
And this is again one of the things Ridley Scott does. Is he rips off a novel because this is based on Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yeah, which I also heard is like there's actually another there's another book called Blade Runner, which is where he took the title from and then used the source material of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sleep to create the movie, which is Philip K. Dick.
Yep.
Which I think he believed he was possessed by an alien for real.
I think he did believe that, yeah.
I just remember listen to some guy talking about Philip K. Dick and was saying that Philip K. Dick believed that he was possessed by an alien and credits this alien entity with all of his accomplishments.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's true or not. There's probably somebody in the chat that knows better than me, but yeah, I mean,
no, I didn't say I didn't say electric sweets. I said electric sheep.
Yes, Dream of Electric Sheep.
Yep. But yeah, I know you don't really like noir as much. And
it's very rare.
Yeah, and it's something that's very hard for you to get into too, because noir has all those like trappings and stuff that only people that really like it will actually see. And this is a very futuristic cyberpunkian noir, but the trappings are still there. I do like the fact though, one of the set pieces of this whole thing is that it's supposed to be in Los Angeles, but a lot of the filming they did for this during the time was actually 1980s Hong Kong.
Yeah.
You can see that because Hong Kong always looks futuristic too. It still looks like that now. It still looks like it's something out of the fucking future whenever you see pictures of Hong Kong.
And I think one of the Jenova said electric. Well, I'm a fucking idiot. What do you want from me? Of course, my stupid potato tongue.
Potato tongue with pasta sauce.
I think there's also one of the buildings in this movie is the Millennium Falcon.
I think so.
Turned like upright.
I think so.
So that and then they put a bunch of shit on it to make it look. I think I remember hearing something about that as well. So there's Harrison Ford can't escape that Millennium Falcon. Failure says my favorite Harrison Ford scene is when Kylo Ren kills Solo. Jenova dumb. Yes, that's right, Porky. Do androids get bitten by electric spiders? Strong. But I mean, Blade Runner is one of those films, like it or not, most people have heard of it and seen it.
It's also very influential too to cyberpunk culture and all this.
It's very influential. And it's just one of those things that's in the pop culture psyche. Like it's like Elvis. Like everybody knows who Elvis is, and you don't remember when you heard of Elvis. You just always knew of Elvis, kind of thing. That's how I always feel about Blade Runner, or movies, not movies that are in that same sort of vein, not genre in the vein, but like in the pop culture site. You don't know when you heard of them. You just know you've always known that they have existed. So, do you want to watch this?
Yeah, I'll give my rating first too.
Oh yes, go ahead. Give me.
My rating for Blade Runner, even though it's no longer in my favorites, not even my top 10, but I will still rate Blade Runner as Ridley Scott's best movie to me. Besides Alien, I don't consider it. I don't consider his sole project why Alien's good. For him, And he says the whole stuff he's done with other people too. I give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? Even if I don't like it, I think I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5. Even though it's something that I necessarily don't really enjoy. But Rutger Hauer is so good in the movie that I just I wish there was like a supercut of just Rutger Hauer, which I'm sure it probably exists somewhere. So Jenova is the smartest WAP I have met, says Rock. Jeff says, what do androids dream of when they take a little android snooze? Do they dream of eating batteries or doing the electric boogaloo? Professor Jenova says, sweet. It inspired Jar Jar Abrams to overuse lens flare.
Yeah, it did.
It's not Ridley's film. It's Rutgers, says Sweets.
Yeah.
Porgy says Jenova is the $6 billion WAP.
Fueled by industrial pasta sauce and Morzano tomatoes. And the finest russet potatoes that they could find on that side of the Shire.
We can read them. We have the pasta.
We have the pasta.
All right, let's watch this. You got this on screen?
Yep. This is the final cut too. This was technically not the one Ridley likes, but this was the last cut they actually made for the movie. He likes the director's cut. That's what a lot of people
from the British Film Institute, from the BFI.
Yep.
There was an escape from the off-world colonies 2 weeks ago. 6 replicants.
I need you, Dex. I need the old Blade Runner.
He was gonna retire too, was the whole thing as well.
Replicants are like any other machine. They're either a benefit or a hazard.
Is that Daryl
They're a
Hannah?
benefit, it's not my problem.
I think so.
I'm Rachel.
There's Rachel.
Deckard.
They were designed to copy human beings in every way.
How can it not know
Soundtrack
what it
is
is?
good too.
Yep.
Commerce is our goal here
It's
at
pretty
Tyrell.
haunting.
More human than human is our motto.
More human than human. There he is. Very dystopian future too.
What I've seen.
Oh yeah, I always like the scene with
What
the
seems
owl.
to be the problem?
Yep.
I want more life.
Yep.
It's too bad she won't live. But then again, who does?
More human than human is our motto.
More human than human. Like
Later.
zombie.
The final cut.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
The most famous scene, which we're gonna see next because I decided to put it in because I love that scene so much.
Are we sure we can watch it?
I watched it before, so.
Sex bots can't become a thing soon enough. The woman is getting too lippy lately, says Ryan.
Watch him jump
I've never
with this
seen
pigeon.
this movie. Jenny, if it's something you want to see, you might not want to watch this scene.
No.
But maybe you do.
Maybe you do. Maybe this will get you
That's
to see.
right, Jeff. More human than human.
He makes the jump.
Quite an experience to live in fear, isn't it?
Yep.
That's what it is to be a slave.
Slave.
Is it though?
Well, live in fear, the idea of basically being a slave to other things, I suppose. Not having a free will. Oh, technically not a free will of your own, but he does, so I don't know.
For Russell Crowe, it was just a means to kill a Roman emperor.
And this always goes to show that his main goal was not to actually kill Deckard.
No, because technically they're not really bad guys.
No.
I don't care about spoilers, just saying I've never seen Blood. All right, Jenny. I don't think most people care about spoilers, actually.
He's just holding that pigeon.
Well, at least I don't.
Just holding that pigeon.
Everybody quiet.
I've seen things
You people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder
That's a War lyric.
I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time. Like tears in rain. Time to die.
Such a sad ending. It's a shame he won't live, but then again, who does? Lucky robot getting to die.
You've done a man's job, sir. I guess you're through, huh?
James almost. I don't care if I don't like Blade Runner. That scene is always fucking good.
Mm-hmm. So here's them talking
it's
about
really
the movie
very
too.
interesting to talk to you.
It's not interesting to talk to Ridley Scott. Don't lie.
Well,
Look
I'm
at that
happy
mullet.
for the opportunity to talk to you after seeing Blade Runner last night. You know, the movie going public has become increasingly sophisticated.
Sean Young
in
used to
the
date James
visual
Wood, Cindy. I didn't
values
know
of
that.
Film, and they really
She
do
was dating
expect,
James
don't they,
Wood and became
a lot in
stalkerish
special
him,
effects.
and others. She also developed a big
Now,
drug
does
problem.
this
Never been the
pose
same.
a great
Yeah, I know she
pressure,
went crazy. I didn't know she
when
dated
you
James
think
Woods.
of the films like Star Wars, the Star Wars series, and your
Oh my
own
God, that is
film,
a mullet,
Alien.
isn't it?
Yeah,
is
it
this
is.
a pressure for you to come up with something that is even more
This guy's gonna
spectacular?
keep this fucking thing in the
Sure.
middle
It's
of his
just
interview
equal
the whole
pressure to
time.
come up with a good script. So yeah, it's part and parcel of the.
Yeah, you didn't
job.
write
But I
it,
think
we
once
know.
you actually decide on your, it's first things
She's a
first. Once you
Stepford
get the
wife,
script
sweets.
that you want to do, and it happens to be in this kind of genre, then it's a matter of interpretation. And I find, rather than pressure, I think it's one of the most interesting parts of preparing the film.
Oh, that is exciting to you,
Oh, yes.
creating these,
Oh,
these
yeah, absolutely.
extraordinary effects.
Exciting.
Why is it always raining in the film, and why are there no green spaces or trees or anything?
Well, it's
Why is it always raining in the
multinational,
film?
huge city. Let's say in 40 years' time, city of Los Angeles could have, if Mexico City in 20 years' time could have 25 million people.
And you're wrong. This never happened.
Which is probably the biggest city in the world by then. In Los Angeles, maybe it's grown to 2 or 3 times the size it is now.
And that's why you
And
can't predict
Los
shit,
Angeles,
Ridley.
As it stands now is a kind of large suburb in a way. Who said it's a city without a kind of center? It'll continue
Business
spreading.
up front,
The
party
high-rises
behind.
will get higher, and the greenery
That's
will
right,
get
Jeff.
less.
It's a Kentucky
one of those things.
waterfall.
That's the way I think it's going.
You said that Blade Runner wasn't really science fiction, that it's a contemporary film
What?
in many ways. Now, what did you mean a contemporary film?
Well, it touches on a near future.
Near
on
future.
A future which is only 40 years away. So I don't really look on it to that extent.
The
as
future
being
really looked like that, huh,
futuristic.
Jenova?
It's really like doing a film in the
Of course.
40s, looking at us now in the 80s. And things really haven't changed that much. Just enough to be a little spooky. So I
what a
don't really
fag.
regard it as a futuristic film.
You didn't really stress the cause of the pollution that did create the kind of sterile environment and this overcrowded, what do you say?
Multinational
Megalopolis.
megalopolis.
Well, this movie, should or
Yeah,
could
this is
possibly
probably the
make
80s,
people
Jenny.
aware of this
It is the 80s.
vast quantity, the tons
This is
of nuclear
1982.
waste that, for instance, is lying at the bottom of the ocean, etc.
All sorts
Now-
of things. I mean, overpopulation, just general overkill, which is happening. It's happening now. I mean, I know we're becoming more and more aware of it and trying to do things about it, and hopefully we will do something about it.
Well, that's what I wondered about your role as a
Population
filmmaker. Do you, in fact, address certain
Ethnic
social
cleansing?
problems instinctively, or do you look for your films as an entertainment maker of movies? or-
Primarily entertainment. That's why we really begin the film and, I guess, insulate the audience, hopefully, to a certain extent at the front by saying, more or less, once upon a time. In the legend.
Only
at the
2
front
years
of
till
the
we're in
film.
the future.
So
I
hopefully
mean,
there is
Blade
a
Runner
kind of
said
dramatic
2019,
separation from the audience
so we're in that
and from the
future.
film at that moment. So then they're quite clearly watching a fabrication, not necessarily a prediction of the future. I hope it's not the future.
No, well, good gracious, we all hope that. But I'm wondering, deep
Good
down in that
gracious.
psyche, your psyche, is there a sort of a social awareness or? a
Jeff says
hesitancy?
I'd love to sit him down and show him this interview and see how he reacts.
Unless something really is done about it.
Yeah,
it
can his
could-
ego handle the fact he's
in fact,
wrong?
I modeled the idea
It's funny
originally
because
on,
like you look at this guy, you look at James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, guys that really like to use science fiction and claim that they use real science, and then when they talk about like they're so fucking dumb when they're discussing things like population and fucking like climate change and shit like that.
Multi-textures, multinational conglomeration of everything.
No,
And
that
it was
never
quite
happened.
Interesting. I liked it actually, and it
Not
stayed
yet.
with me for years. I haven't been there for 10 years.
In
It still
20
stayed with me.
years.
So when this film came
Oh,
along,
so
But
it's like
nobody will remember I said this.
Oh, so it'll be like the Al Gore thing. They'll just keep bumping it up.
Being in almost an Oriental sort of atmosphere, and I suppose the
Oriental.
crowding and texture.
Yeah, that's
they
happened
do.
in Hong
It's
Kong
better
and
than
China
being bleak.
today. Not the
Yes,
United
I
States.
guess so.
I guess with the word bleakness comes deserted streets.
I think the
deserted
word
environment,
bleakness comes from you in
and,
general, Ridley.
and, you know, I'd rather have the crowded environment, I think.
Are you alarmed?
Wait, how
by
can
the
streets be
possibility
deserted
of genetic
if you're talking about
engineering?
overpopulation?
And does this
He
film
doesn't know.
reflect any of your apprehension about that, if indeed you
Look, he
want?
has less
No,
bags
I mean,
under his eyes, though.
Genetics, I think, will come obviously become.
The
become
Jetsons
good
got more
things
right
and
about the
bad things.
tech we'll have in the future than most of these
This
movies.
is not a warning in any sense of the word. This is purely a dramatic device in the film to for the very central story to exist. The fact that we can within 40 years create under laboratory conditions something that is akin to a human being is
Not even close.
Probably is a possibility.
Well, you see, the reason I'm asking you these questions, based partly on Alien 2, I'm wondering, I'm fascinated, of course, by you as a filmmaker and your mind.
Stop
and,
stroking its ego,
and
damn
avidly
it.
looking for things to read about you that tells me a little bit about yourself. A filmmaker must necessarily reveal a lot of himself.
I
Isn't
think
that
he
true?
does inevitably, and I think the more I do film, the more I realize, like being a journalist, that to a degree you have a responsibility. Though you ought to have a bit
Hey,
of a
Jenova.
sense of responsibility.
Journalists
'Cause
have a
people do tend
responsibility.
to believe what they're told.
He's such a
They do
journalist,
tend
isn't
to
he?
believe what they're shown.
Well, I hate to believe what I saw last night.
That's why I said once upon a time at the front.
Thank you very much. It was interesting to talk to you.
I mean, not really. Let's see how long this next interview is.
So many people in life take up
Okay,
occupations
4
they don't
minutes.
really want and they don't really like, but it
It's
becomes
him talking about
what their life
directing.
is, and they can't
Yeah,
get
this
off
is
this
him,
merry-go-round
Ridley Scott's
because
approach
they
and
have to work, they've
experience
gotta
in
earn money,
directing.
etc., etc. Very few people really enjoy what they do in life, I think. I've discovered, right?
They promised me a portal
And I'm one of the
jetpack and a
lucky ones.
flying car, damn lying movie sister.
I knew early on what I wanted to do, and therefore was, able to follow that route. But I was not terribly good.
And my brother, killed himself.
I was good at metalwork, woodwork, and art.
What is he wearing?
And I'd
quite
gone
the
through a
poncho.
process of almost 10 schools. We moved around a lot. My father, who's actually Army, said, you should go to art school, which was a very unusual thing in those days.
This is because he thought you
You'd go
were
to art
queer.
school and you're considered a waster, pushing a pencil and all that kind of nonsense. I was a painter for 4 years, I was at the Royal College for 3 years. My
my
contemporaries
father
were David
caught
Hockney
me
and Ron
sucking
Pitaro, so it was
sucking
pretty
a
serious.
dick
But
and told me to
art
go to
school,
art school.
unlike film school, teaches you about aesthetics. You see beauty in
Aesthetics.
everything. You see beauty in an industrial landscape. It doesn't have to be beauty from the obvious things.
God,
and the
what a
obvious elements.
fucking hack.
And beauty also is drama.
Juliet 6-4, this is Chalk 4. We've got a man down. We need to get him out of here. Over.
There was no film schools then, and so I tended to follow my nose at the next
retarded?
opportunities, a stepping stone to where I
There
could-
were no
where it would
film
place
schools?
Me close to the notion of
Shut
becoming
up!
a director. I always wanted to be a director. I was a
What
designer.
an
you
asshole.
see. Constantly complained about.
Like, constantly
how
complained. Look at him.
Misused, and so they gave me a production course.
On January 24th,
I complained till I got my way. Oh yeah, that's right. He made this
and you'll
Macintosh.
see why 1984
Yeah.
won't be like 1984.
Commercials were my film school. I learned.
Is this
to
fucking
make
music from
movies
Transformers?
during
I think it
the
is.
I think,
commercials.
and I think this commercial
At
has
that
actually
point
cost like
in
$900,000
late
or
60s
something.
to 70s.
You
It's
add
like
that
one of the
P
most
into aesthetic,
Commercial
Gene.
advertising was
I'll rip your
in
tongue
some
out.
respects in its heyday of creativity.
Aesthetic.
And I think what we did is we influenced a lot of the way films looked, editorially, lighting. So that kind of English look started to come into here. So that's why I started to work here a lot as well.
We shall prevail.
I remember seeing this.
In those days, we actually were all knocking on the door in Hollywood. Nobody wanted to know. We had really,
I guess he
really
means there were no
sophisticated
film
showreels.
schools that could
Now,
handle his
ironically,
talent,
it
such
seems to be the main supply and pipeline straight
See,
out of
there's your G.I. Jane,
sucking
boys.
out of the rock video companies and the advertising companies. And these guys are now walking into first.
It's like my soul dies every time he speaks.
She will succeed as long as we lower the standards.
Don't you ever feel
What was
guilty
that?
what you put your actors through?
No.
And usually we're right in it. And I think that the thing that helps about operating, I like to operate camera, I've done always. And but I mean, I have other cameramen there and other operators there. And I think the actors like that, the fact that you're
But
close
saying
to
I
them.
went to film school
and you're
doesn't
doing
sound
it,
as up
you know,
your
with
own
them.
ass
So you're
as
in
there
there.
were no
And they
film
like
schools.
that because
That's
they feel you're
Yeah.
part
True.
of the team,
Film
part of the
school
process.
kids are awful.
Yep.
I love to see them, you know, really
American
work for that
Gangster.
money.
American Gangster is okay. I give it a 3 out of 5.
And
like most of his films, it's just
I like
kinda,
the elements to be real. It can't be always this rosy, glowing Los Angeles day.
Los
Very, very
Angeles.
successful, and I
Los
wonder
Angeles, faggot.
inside if all this success puts more and more stress on you to try to top yourself.
No, I don't worry about it. And I'm getting more into something I've discovered, which I'd started.
No stress. He goes and plays tennis.
Yep.
The process.
World burns down. I gotta go
So
play
we're
some tennis.
producing more. We're doing a TV series. We bought a studio in the UK with Shepherd
And burned it down.
which is doing very well.
So to get you to direct a film, it has to be you fill in the blanks. What is it that's going to grab you?
The subject, the subject, the subject.
The subject, the subject, the subject.
Me. Let's see. I'm gonna go to the next interview, see how long it is.
It's
here.
24 minutes.
I don't know if I want to listen to him for 24 minutes.
Well, let's see how long we can stand listening to him, and then just call it.
We'll give it a couple minutes, and then we'll crash the plane.
I started this company 42 years ago.
What's this music?
Thinking that eventually
They need to teach these British fucks how to speak English. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm still very much involved in advertising, I'm pleased to say. And so this
Still in
sort of
advertising? What?
side of things obviously has grown into pretty established, feature film.
What kind of flat you living in Manchester there, buddy?
Today, because I'm shooting a film, actually a relatively short schedule for me. 9
Schedule?
months. I'm shooting a film.
Schedule,
about
not
3 weeks'
schedule.
time.
Schedule.
And I'm pre-producing out of here.
God.
A schedule.
I had a pretty conventional childhood in terms of a conventional.
My brother killed
family life.
himself.
My dad, when I say he was in the army, he was only in the army because the war broke out.
Can we crash it or at least?
Then got attached to the Royal Engineers, and then eventually.
We'll be
got,
crashing it soon.
closely attached
This is going to
to,
surpass James Cameron as the most expensive eat shit landing of the plane.
what
That's
eventually would be
sweet.
called Marlborough Harbor, or D-Day.
at the end of
Give
the
him a
war,
couple minutes and then.
I was like, my dad.
Hey, Tom Sizemore.
Take off his uniform.
Looking at this guy like,
what?
Motherfucker, are you retarded?
In with what was the tail end of the Marshall Plan.
Hey, Blue.
And what would be called the CCG, which is the Control Commission for Germany. So
We're getting ready to end here soon, Blue.
Yeah, Ridley Scott just destroying out at the moment.
Attached my collar in case I got lost. And we went and lived in Hamburg.
Germany?
And Frankfurt in the American zone.
Okay.
And I was sent to school in Wilhelmshaven, which is fundamentally a U-boat barracks for the Baltic Command for the U-boat.
Nobody cares.
Navy. And so I used to walk
I'm gonna
past
skip
200
ahead.
U-boats every morning.
Go ahead.
Still cocooned in there.
Cocooned.
Having a good time. You don't, and you're doing well.
Look at all the actors just look at like, what?
It's only 10 years later, suddenly I realized I haven't done a film.
First time directing.
Francis made a film.
Francis Ford Coppola? My uncle?
Let's talk about Apocalypse Now.
And I
Yep.
tracked it down Heart of Darkness.
Why are we gonna zoom in of his fucking mouth? What is that?
And we tracked it down, found
I don't need to see his horrible teeth, thanks.
I met a person called Francis Ford Coppola. So I didn't really know who that was.
I love Apocalypse Now.
So then, damn, so we gotta find something else.
Nobody
So
enjoyed
we
making
then
that
found
film
a sketch
though.
for a much
People
larger
got fucking
novel,
sick.
Which was called The Duelist. I've been told.
I'm glad.
Oh, here we go, The Duelist.
Found.
This is what inspired Apocalypse Now inspired you to make The Duelist? What?
Wait, what?
What?
The Duelist. He'd already done another one for me called The Gunpowder Plot. We pushed that to the limit, almost wrung it dry, and couldn't get it going. The Duelist seemed to be a little bit less ambitious.
Keith Carradine about to throw up.
And so I traveled, and I was told that go to Hallmark Hall of Fame, Chicago. They look on this as a very interesting TV piece. They love.
Is he eating?
I flew out.
Maybe.
Met with him when I got.
Eating
said,
during his
"But it's
interview."
not for us."
Look, he gets
So why
hungry.
not?
I mean,
It's a
he's
movie.
the artur.
So I thought, okay, so I flew from Chicago to Los Angeles.
Stop saying it that way.
One of the hotels there and just picked up the phone and started. That's what I did. And then got so far.
Up
and
my
got
own
a lot of
ass.
interest, and then couldn't get any further, and I had to return to England. I got 2 cast members. I then picked up the phone and asked David Putnam to help me. And David Putnam, who was the man.
The man.
You're the man now, dog.
In England at that particular moment had got Alan Parker going, Bugsy. And
This guy's boring in every fucking interview. I know, Warped.
So I was now absolutely riddled.
Alright, I'm skipping forward again.
Yeah, but
We met and he was quite surprised. I think the script was so. And it just irritated the shit out of me. Me trying to do it and say.
Well, I gotta go back and see what he was talking about here.
I think it was tricky because.
Oh, Blade Runner.
I was coming in with something which was an oddball world, and it was an evolution from.
Evolution.
Alien as well, oddly enough, and it's definitely an evolution.
Say it right, you stupid fag.
Movies, I think.
Evolution, not evolution.
He did and was completely influenced by everything from the characters to the clothing, and he was definitely an influence on me on Blade Runner.
Who, Mobius?
And, I think by doing that, it was my first film in Hollywood where I wanted it.
Or Michael
raining,
Moorcock, because that's what I was just looking at.
I want everything to be moody, and it just irritated the shit out of me. And me trying
Okay,
to do it.
so making it
that's
rainy
what
and
I
moody
want.
irritated the shit out of
Stuck to my
Hollywood.
gun.
Okay.
Guns.
Hey, Liz.
And got thrashed regularly. I, as a director,
Oh.
want to be surprised in a good way. And so that I've evolved very much that.
I'm 100% sure he mispronounces his words solely so he can be individualistic and unique to others because his ego demands it. So sweets.
Probably.
In the driving seat, so I asked 5 directors to do it. And 5 directors turned me down. 3 of them said I've got problems with the women. I said, you meant to have problems with the women, that's the whole point of the goddamn movie. I said, these women have a voice. And the voice may
I guess he's a feminist now.
But
of course.
your problem, not
These
theirs.
women have a
One of
voice.
Those kind of discussions. And then eventually one day...
You know who
an
didn't
actress
have a
that
voice?
was being interviewed.
Little Mermaid. She gave it up for a man.
Yep.
Sense as new director.
You know, as you do.
After that, I went, she might.
As you should.
So then I went away, and that's when I decided to do it.
Night, Liz.
And,
Thanks for showing up for a
at that
minute.
moment in time,
Oh no, Ridley's gay.
I'd been
That's
pursuing
right.
the
They had such a voice, they drove off a fucking cliff. So
Yup,
sweet.
they did.
And I met with her, and actually she was clearly it, you know, and then...
Oh, Jesus, is that a real explosion?
I met with Susan.
Yeah, I think it was.
She's a marvelous American actress. And Louise was born. And out of that, I think I had probably one of the best...
Beehive haircut there.
You could have cast some better looking.
I cast very, very carefully. I cast really well.
Okay, he's talking about Hannibal now.
Oh God.
Look at Brad Pitt. Why does Brad Pitt look like he's straight out of California?
He really
The
does.
movie California.
Oh look, there's
He
Michael
looks like a-
Douglas. Hey, there's Nick Cage. My cousin.
Before I even mention the role or get a read, I just want to know who they are.
God, Tom Cruise is not a good casting choice, fag.
And then they know it's playtime.
Is that
You
Jeff
can actually
Bridges?
Yeah, that's Jeff Bridges.
experiment, and therefore they feel free to show you stuff.
Did we have to do like the zoom in black and white?
It's got to be artistic.
Like it's so like he's so boring that they're trying to add edits to it, you know?
I think drove my producers crazy.
They drove my producers crazy with Alien.
And there's no food on the table, so I think he's pulling like peanuts out of his pockets, his pants pockets, and he's eating.
Look, Sigourney Weaver, who people think is attractive for some reason.
To find a new person.
She's certain. I don't think she's attractive.
No.
There are people who would who would fuck her.
Well, there's James Cameron who would fuck her as a blue Catwoman.
Oh,
in
of course.
space.
And then from that, in the casting process, I was again looking at new people.
While also going down to the Titanic as she's a blue Catwoman. So he can fuck her. Be the first man to visit the Titanic and fuck her at the same time as a Catwoman.
And with
Oh,
George
no.
doing Indiana Jones. So I figured these two are closing on this guy called Indiana. It's going to be called Indiana Jones. I guarantee he's going to be a star. So I
Oh,
met
so that's the
one
whole
guy
reason why you cast Harrison Ford? That's
came
retarded.
to town and met me. And he actually came straight off the set. So he was the hat, the leather jacket. And I said, "You want to do the movie?" That's how I cast him. To the extent that in those days when people I was with said, "Who's Harrison Ford?" And I said, "Well,
I wish they would
Harrison
still
Ford's the
say
guy
that.
Flying that round space vehicle in it's a cool
Nobody
Millennium Falcon."
said that.
Oh. I said,
After
"But
Star
it's
Wars,
gonna be Indiana
everybody
Jones."
knew.
So that was a good choice.
Stop.
Then Blade Runner didn't play too good.
What?
So that's the next lesson.
Blade Runner didn't.
You got it. You ain't got nothing.
He was like,
My life has been traveling backwards and forwards, and wherever I do film, that takes me. I've got this thing about North Africa. I think I've done 4.
You love North
Maybe
Africa,
once
huh?
North Africa. We did Black
yeah,
Hawk
it's so
Down,
great.
Kingdom of Heaven.
The whole continent. I mean,
Body of Lies.
Body of Lies is
the first
boring.
act of Gladiator. In Ouazzazate when it was still a relatively.
It starts
quiet
out
place.
okay, you know. It's kind of cool,
Oh boy.
and then it just
I go
continues,
back on everything
and
I've learned in
it's
art
just
school.
so
Every day I
boring.
still use it. I'm upstairs right now with the production designer planning what I'm doing in 3 weeks' time.
Blade
And
Runner was a
it's all
huge
about
flop. That's right, Rod.
White
Yep.
sheets of paper, pens, and drawing.
I'm drawing things
Colin McCarthy's
and getting
screenplay.
peanuts out of my pockets. Why is the
so
black and white
that's
happening
the
again?
The actors are all cast.
It's
so
like they're doing it
that's
for dramatic effect. Look at that little pullback. Like we're too close. Pan down to his pocket. What?
When I'm doing a movie.
I was for
the way
sure
we
his
planned
hand was going to be
Prometheus
another
was
table and he was going
before
to
we
pull
got the
out
big
some
unit
peanuts.
together in the big art department, I persuaded
Did
Fox
you just
to
pull up your
why-
sleeve? What the fuck?
Said, "Look, you give me an R&D budget, research and development
Hasn't
budget,
touched that
you know,
water.
a couple $100,000.
Stop
to
with the
hire
black and white. It's
my
not making it
production
better.
and 4 digital artists.
I like
who
this
sit
scene in
that
Prometheus.
room in my office
That was a
and
pretty good scene.
And actually design the whole film in the way it looks before we get to the expensive part. Which
Yeah,
is
Idris
something
Elba, I
truly
forgot is in
different.
Prometheus. I like Idris Elba.
And that's what we did. So we planned.
Who
it.
plays David
Everything
again?
was in drawing
Michael
landscape will be.
Fassbender.
Therefore,
Okay.
where will it
I
be?
like him.
He looks okay as an actor.
Into designing and looking at the way people what they wear, what the ship looks like inside, what the ship looks like outside.
She's the one reason really why I don't like fucking Prometheus. Charlize Theron is fucking terrible.
That was one of the most. It was a new direction for me, and I really loved doing it. I loved re-engaging with special effects and digital effects.
On set, I am awful.
My process has always
Yeah, he
been
wasn't
visual.
the best
I've done visual
Magneto,
direction,
Strug.
Visual angle, being an art director, and
Michael
I
Fassbender.
used to think that because I was always getting criticized.
And
for
James
being
McAvoy
visual,
played Professor
and I
X.
realized, well,
Boy.
actually, that's what we're doing. We're doing it.
Two actors I like
So, you know,
that are
eventually I
I'm
realized
not
that I had an
fans of
advantage
in
by
those
having an
movies.
eye
I'm not
rather
even really
than
fan of
being
those movies.
Yeah.
And consequently, I think it was thought that I neglected actors a little bit.
They're making him keep his hands on the table like he's Esau or something. I'm guessing to stop him eating.
Probably. Probably got a bunch of fucking peanuts in his pocket.
They're annoying as fuck in Covenant too, Warped.
So I was very happy with what I got with that. Come back to the UK, I did Legend. So
You did the okay. That explains a few things about Legend.
Because it gets you there fast, quick.
And we burned down some sets.
Because you're behind the camera, the actor is cut off. That's absolute horseshit.
There's fucking. That's when he was doing. Hey, there's your cousin.
Yep. You like that? I'm talking to you.
Hey, Denzel Washington.
Actors like that. So I started to evolve my own style.
Looks a little bit too excited there.
How I deal with actors, how I rehearse, how I pull them into the process.
Is this?
Me, I think
What is this?
My job is
American Gangster.
Oh, okay.
Which is okay. It's another 3 in my opinion.
Like most of his fucking films.
Yeah. He doesn't bother with that, and I don't bother with him with that. I can explain to him that when you walk in this Coliseum, there's only going to be 40% there, but we built 40% Coliseum. And I didn't do 5 stories, but I did 4 stories, so it's full scale. And then you track it, and then that first spin around will show the whole arena, which is a pretty marvelous digital.
It's digital, so it's not real.
It's amazing what they actually pulled off. The Mill in London.
Thanks for coming out, Jenny.
Yep.
Take a parachute with you.
Look at it. You know, don't forget they're looking at the film crew most of the time. They're not looking at the rest of the set. You know, they're looking at an actor and they're looking at the film crew.
We're almost done here anyway, guys.
Yeah, we are almost done.
Well, I paid for the screenplay.
Oh my god, I don't want to hear about the duelist. Skipping. Oh my god. Harvey Keitel looking like Pirates of the Caribbean.
And that's why that witnessing and feeling the real went from 4.2.
Oh, no, it's talking about Alien.
Jumped $4 million.
It jumped because I wanted more money. You gonna talk about Dan O'Bannon helping you make that movie? Nah, he's not important. H.R. Giger? Nah, who's he?
Who?
And also I've been introduced to Giger.
Oh, now you talk about him.
Been afraid of Giger.
And others. Giger and others.
And I said, well, actually, H.R. Giger's, I mean, at this moment, a little touch of genius.
A little touch, not as much, not as genius as I am, but just a touch of genius.
He didn't want to do
Faggot.
it. He didn't want to fly. So we'll
It's
bring him
my
by
movie
train.
now.
The shot was we got him to come in by train. He lived in the pub in Shepperton Studios for 10 months.
Lived in the pub.
And he said, this is fine for me. He lived in a little room above the pub in Shepperton.
That's not what he
Cares
sounds.
where he lived.
For the most part, I loved everything because it was all Hollywood and the best.
I
of it
love
was,
Hollywood.
James
What a
Dean
sick,
with
disgusting
the,
statement that is.
Dean did 2 or 3 pretty good movies.
What are you talking about, James Dean?
Crash your car like Dean. You love him if you love him so much.
I adored westerns. I've never done a western. I adored almost any western. Some great
I don't
westerns.
buy this.
Well, there seemed to be because it was all kind of new and magical. Terrific.
I don't buy that you
I
like
never
John
got
Wayne
to
and
see
James
alternate
Dean.
cinema till I came to Royal
John
College.
Wayne's a little too manly for him.
57, maybe 56. Where
I
suddenly discovered
don't. I don't remember what year it was when I discovered I wanted to be a filmmaker.
were Kurosawa, Orson Welles.
Don't ever. Don't ever. You keep Kurosawa's name out of your fucking mouth.
Virgin Spring, those things. And of course, Hollywood is the big business.
The zoom in.
alternative cinema. And
His eyes are black like his soul.
What I wanted to do, and I felt that David Lean straddled the fence. He kind of did both.
Stop talking about people that are better than you. Last word.
Just a touch of genius.
Just a touch.
Doesn't really want to see a good movie. I think they get tired of seeing bad movies.
Then stop making them, Ridley.
Fucking everybody has ripped off Kurosawa. Stop.
Today is that we're making so many movies. We're making more movies.
I was inspired.
Stop showing the fucking Duelist. No one cares about it.
Oh, they're showing them in order.
So, filmmaking and getting bums on seats, which I still
1492. Bums and seats.
They skipped Black Rain.
Hannibal. There's Matchstick Man.
So I've got to tell a good
No one likes Kingdom of Heaven. No one likes Goodyear. No one really likes American Gangster. No one likes Body of Lies. No one remembers Robin Hood. And Prometheus is bad.
I don't remember. I don't remember Robin Hood, and there was just a new Robin Hood that I don't remember either.
Finally, it's done. Thank Jesus.
To be fair, John Wayne films were shown shitloads on UK TV back in the day. Probably had to watch at the time. Says where that may okay. Well, I didn't know that. But yeah, that's Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
A touch of genius.
A touch of retardation in the Downs is more like it.
We've suffocated. We've been suffocated by Ridley Scott.
It shows the whole planet.
But Gene,
yes.
would you like to do some shilling?
Yes, I'll do some shilling. Tomorrow I will be doing a run again about retro computers while also talking about Doom mods, like old school Doom mods. So that'll be interesting. And Sunday we're doing a banner rant on no-bake foods.
Okay.
And we will be back on Monday ourselves talking about Jenova's favorite director, Rob Zombie.
God, he's so bad. God, Rob, I can't believe I have to watch Rob Zombie movies. This is gonna suck.
Yep.
All right, but we appreciate everybody fucking coming out tonight. As always, everybody's banter in chat is always welcome. We appreciate it.
Yep.
And we will see you guys on Monday.
Yep, I'll see you guys tomorrow if you show up on my shit. Later, everybody.
Bye, guys.